All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. We'll start with baseball news of the day. 3 new hires in baseball. The Mets, they're hiring Carlos Mendoza. Guardians, they're hiring Stephen Voigt. And the Cubs, they're making a stunner. They're firing David Ross and hiring Craig Counsell. Last night, San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinals 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs open up their basketball season versus Cal State Fullerton, 7:30 tip. Our pregame coverage really starts right now on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one of Jon and Jim. We are outside Viejas Arena on another spectacular day in San Diego where it's about 75 degrees, and we're just over 4 hours out from the Aztecs getting their season underway as anticipated, as you're going to find, coming off a national championship game. So there's a lot to get into with college basketball kicking off here today. In fact, Brian Ralph, he is a senior national writer for Heat Check Men's College Basketball. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. There's a lot to get into with the Padres as well. But it's good to be back. We were here throughout the course of last season before Aztec home games. We never really knew what would come of it. And the Aztecs ended up in a national championship game in Houston, taking on the University of Connecticut. They're going to try to run it back beginning tonight against Cal State Fullerton, 7:30. Banners going up.
Yep.
We'll both be inside. If they lose, it's on you. If they win, you get no credit. And tip-off is about 4.5 hours away.
Yeah, I'm nervous. For the simple fact is you can't lose on banner night. Like banner raising night, like you can't lose. And I know that if I go in there and they lose, it's 100% on me.
Right.
I'm never going to hear the end of it.
No.
I probably will never get a credential ever again.
Never.
You're going to hate my guts.
Correct.
And everybody on the text line and social media will hate the team.
Coaching staff.
It's like, whoa. Jim went to the game on Monday night? Okay, yeah. No. We're not talking to you anymore. So this is a big night for me, Jon. This is a huge night for me in particular because I need this dub. I need this win. If they don't win, then I'll never be allowed back into Viejas. If they do win, then I feel all the weight of I feel so happy. Like, oh, yes, it wasn't because of me.
So it's almost like, maybe lose a battle, win a war if they don't win this game because you'll never be back inside Viejas Arena ever again.
Right.
Now, I said this earlier about how big of a game this is or how much of like in terms of highly anticipated games in the history of Viejas Arena or atmosphere tonight, I'm thinking that this thing's going to be on par with any game in the history of this building. And there have been some amazing games against some big-time opponents. Top 25 teams have come here. Gonzaga, BYU, there have been others. Mountain West Championships have been in the line. I understand it's not that, but raising a national championship game banner and playing in front of your home fans for basically the first time since the national championship game. Yes, there was an exhibition. In terms of atmosphere, we're going to see because we're going to be inside, but I would think it would rival any game in the history of this building. What do you think?
I didn't go to this game, but I know that people talk about it a lot. The BYU home game with the Jimmer Fredette, the Kawhi team.
Yep.
That they went to Sweet 16 that year. The hated rivalry there between BYU and San Diego State. That would be, I think, if you ask anybody that's been to every home game for the last decade, that would be the game that they remember as having the best atmosphere and maybe the most anticipated. Tonight is just game one, right? It's not like this huge rivalry game. It's not, these two teams hate each other. It's Cal State Fullerton. Nothing against Cal State Fullerton. They're a good team. But as far as the hatred goes and went for BYU, you could argue that game was the atmosphere was better. I don't know. I gotta see it tonight. I think the start of the game will feel like big time, right? I don't know if the entirety of the game will feel like that, like it did with BYU.
7:30. Actually, start time is going to be 7:40 tonight. Make sure to get into your seats early. Banners are going up about 10 or 15 minutes before the game. So get into your seats early. Tip time is going to be between 7:35 and 7:40. San Diego State, Cal State Fullerton, Aztecs on the floor for the first time really since April 3rd. They played a couple of closed-door scrimmages. They've had an exhibition game against San Marcos. It all starts here tonight. And you know me, Jim. I'll tell you why it's a hard game. But I'm not
Every game's a hard game
to tell you that. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
I'm telling you that looking at this schedule, to your point, like the Aztecs can't lose this game because you'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the schedule for San Diego State, you got to win this game because you're going to BYU on Friday.
Mhm.
And you got St. Mary's in a couple of games. You
Yeah.
got maybe Xavier. And you've got Gonzaga in the non-conference. You got road trips all over the place. So it's only one game. It's not college football. It's not like your season is on the line. But when you schedule like this, these are the games you got to win. The home games against Big West opponents. Cal State Fullerton last year, 21 wins. They were in the Big West championship game. But make no mistake, you absolutely have to win this game, especially when you consider what's to come for the Aztecs in the non-conference.
It's probably, not probably, I think it is, definitively, their toughest non-conference schedule of the last forever. It feels like forever.
Yeah, probably is.
I mean, you look at this non-conference schedule, and there's just like huge matchup after huge matchup, tough opponent after tough opponent.
Right.
And that's a good thing. You know when Dutch historically has scheduled a tough non-conference schedule, that means he believes in his team. He believes that this team can be really good, and you want to test yourselves. And this is the biggest test that they've ever had going this non-conference schedule that they have this year. So I'm looking forward to it. I know Aztecs fans are looking forward to it. I know, John, you're freaking out every moment.
Freaking out about it.
Every single game, it's going to be like, you're really going to need to go to urgent care every day.
Yes,
like
I could have a heart attack.
Yeah, you could have a heart attack. So, yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun, and this place is going to be packed, and it's going to be exciting.
All right, so a lot on that. Again, Brian Ralph covers college basketball. He's a senior national writer for Heat Check. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. The other story we're following is, of course, the Padres managerial search, which Kevin Acee reported earlier today is down to 4, but it's now down to 3 because Carlos Mendoza, the Yankees bench coach that the Padres have interviewed, has been hired as the next manager of the Mets. I would just say this when it comes to the Padres managerial situation. I look around baseball right now, and I would say that staying the same is falling behind. And we've consistently said at the offset or at the onset, they are going to downgrade a manager. Whoever they hire is not going to be Bob Melvin. I'm looking around baseball today. I'm seeing bold, aggressive hires like Craig Counsell to the Cubs, 5 years, $40 million. They had a very good manager in David Ross. They thought they could upgrade. They did this a decade ago when they brought in Joe Madden. The Padres tried to do this with Bob Melvin a couple years ago. They've now lost Melvin. They're going to hire either Mike Shildt or Ryan Flaherty or Benji Gill in all likelihood. And where the Cubs got better today with their manager, most believe, with Craig Counsell, nobody truly believes that losing Bob Melvin is going to benefit the Padres. And that's the position they're in, assuming they're going to hire a manager this week.
Whoever they hire from day one, I've gotten some pushback on social media from it, but I think it's pretty much a fact. Like, he's going to be a downgrade. You hire Ryan Flaherty, that's a downgrade from Bob Melvin. You hire Benji Gill, that's a downgrade right away. You hire Mike Shildt. You could have arguments why it wouldn't be a downgrade, but Bob Melvin has twice the amount of time in baseball as a manager than Mike Shildt does.
Right.
And so, to me, of the 3 remaining candidates, I think we both would choose Benji Gill.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter. Whoever they hire from day one is a downgrade on day one. Now, of course, whoever becomes the manager could turn into something good. But on day one, you have now the, I guess, perceived worst manager in the division. Like, no questions about it.
Right. Torey Lovello extended today. Buddy Black, veteran experienced manager. Obviously, Dave Roberts is one at a very high level. Bob Melvin was just here, and most people would believe that the Padres are downgrading. So you're right. You're 5th in the division coming into the season from a managerial perspective. And I think even preseason prognostication, we talked about this yesterday in the wrap-up show. I think most people, now there's a million moves to be made.
Yeah.
But I think it's very easy to see how most people are going to pick the Padres as the 4th best team in their division next year. They're not going to be picked over the Dodgers.
No.
They're not going to be picked over the Diamondbacks. They're in the World Series.
Yeah.
And they're likely not going to be picked over the Giants, although we'll see what the Giants do this offseason. But if the Giants do add a Blake Snell or a Shohei Ohtani or both or either, there's a good chance the Padres are going to be picked as like an underdog in the NL West next year.
And the thing with the managers that were hired today, the Cubs going bold, right? Look, we see a chance for an upgrade. They take their shot. They might have done David Ross dirty, but that's kind of the name of the game. You saw it happen a couple, not even a decade ago.
9 years ago.
9 years ago, almost a decade, when they fired Rick Renteria and they brought in Joe Madden because they needed an upgraded manager.
Right.
Well, you're looking at the Padres situation, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, Hey, AJ, didn't you say and proclaim that this place that you got like a million different calls about how great this is to manage, and you were just so many people wanted to come here,
And you got one candidate from the outside right now?
and you have one outside candidate,
Benji Gill.
who
I had two, but the other got hired.
True.
In Carlos Mendoza.
So I'm kind of sitting here thinking to myself, like, what are you waiting for? Like, why are you waiting? We all know it's probably either going to be Schilt or Flaherty. So just make the move. You can't fool us. We know that you were looking at who to replace Melvin with before Melvin left. Like, you were looking at Ryan Flaherty and or Mike Schilt as guys who you wanted to become manager while Bob Melvin was still employed here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not this sturdy little secret. I feel like it's out in the open. Like, AJ Preller wanted Bob to leave. And the reason why he was okay with him, like, just look at what happened. The Giants called and they didn't make any type of effort to make sure that Bob Melvin did not leave. He wanted Bob to go. So why are we waiting? We know it's going to be either Flaherty or Schilt. And if it's Benji Gill, okay. Another first-time manager, let's go. But I don't know, man. I feel like that the mind is already made up with him. I don't know why the wait. I just don't.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me if they hire a guy on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Thursday. I mean, they're probably going to have a hire by the end of the week. If they don't, maybe that some questions creep into your mind. But they'll probably have a hire. My point today is, like, you look around baseball and what teams are trying to do. Giants getting rid of Kapler to upgrade. That's what they've done with Melvin. The Cubs getting rid of their manager to upgrade. That's what they think they've done with Craig Counsell. And then here are the Padres like, we'll take a stab at it. We talked about this yesterday in the wrap-up show. Like, our farm director, he's never coached or managed. He could be our AAA manager.
Right.
Oh, Benji Gill, he's never been a manager in the big leagues. He could be our manager. And I'm a proponent, by the way, of Gill over Schilt and Flaherty. It just feels like the Padres don't place the same priority on some things other organizations do. And think about, like, the uphill battle they're facing. Lower the payroll, bad year last year, downgrade quote-unquote manager. These are all the things you're facing. And the teams around you in the division getting better. In the league, like the Cubs, trying to upgrade at manager. And you're just going about it like status quo. Like, yeah, we've had Mike Schilt here the last couple of years as an advisor. He'd be fine.
Yeah, they have so much work to do this offseason.
They sure do.
So much work. They have 3/5 of their rotation they need to replenish.
Yep.
They need to figure out, all right, who's our closer? Because you lost one of the best in the game, even though I think it's okay. Mm-hmm. You lost a Cy Young Award winner. And the potential of you having to trade one of the best hitters in baseball in Juan Soto.
Right.
You have so much work. And, maybe this is a situation where AJ's looking at it, and I thought this was with Tingler, right? Hey, I'm going to hire my guy, and if I go down, then I'm doing it my way, right? The ship is sinking, but in the meantime, I'm going to do it my way. I think that I'm smarter than everybody. I think that I can do things that people don't expect, and I can excel in that. And that's AJ Preller. If he goes out and hires Ryan Flaherty, that to me is the worst of the three, in my opinion, because it just goes back to August when the rumors were already swirling of Ryan Flaherty potentially being the successor to Bob Melvin, while Bob Melvin was still here with a year left under his deal. Like, how bad does that make you look?
It doesn't make you look good. And this also goes back to your point. Like, what's more important, the fact that the Padres have to turn over a lot of this roster, like the rotation, or who they hire as manager? I mean, Craig Counsell could come in here, but if 2/5 of your rotation next year is guys from your system, Craig Counsell only plays so much of a role. Or Bob Melvin could stay, and he's only going to have so much of a role. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the players that I'm thinking about first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's starting with the general manager, and then it's going to the manager. No, I'm not saying that Craig Counsell was coming, but I'm saying whoever the manager is, if you don't have Blake Snell and you don't have Michael Wacha and you don't have Seth Lugo and you don't backfill effectively, which is on Preller, not Counsell or Melvin or Schilt or whomever, that's not an issue that, I mean, the manager's going to have to deal with it, but that's not on the manager. That's on the general manager to go backfill. And that's more important, really, than whoever they hire here this week. Way more important.
Well, you already know that they were not comfortable, and they were perfectly fine with letting Bob Melvin go and his $4 million salary. The Craig Counsell thing, him getting $8 million a year, 5 for 40. he already now has a larger contract, I think, than anybody on the Oakland has.
I saw that, yeah.
Which is insane. So you know that Preller was not going to hand out a huge contract to a manager again. That's not going to happen. Whoever they hire, it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to be a small deal because they're going to be a first-time manager, or it's going to be Mike Schilt, who's like, hey, I just want to manage again.
Right.
So, yeah, when you're looking at this situation, I'm kind of sitting here wondering to myself, like, well, why are we waiting? I think we all know who the 3 finalists are, so just make a decision. Just make a decision. If you haven't made one now, what are we waiting for?
Well, you got 4 teams in baseball without a manager, including the Padres. You had 3 hires here today. Again, I think if it comes this week, it's really no big deal. The GM meetings kick off tomorrow in Arizona. It feels as if their mind's made up because they got rid of Bob Melvin. To your point,
yeah,
like they made that decision. They made that bed. It feels like because of that, they probably had the hire in-house. Now we'll find out. Maybe he goes Benji Gill. I'd still be surprised. That, to me, is more on the outside. I'd be surprised if they went with Benji Gill. I think it's going to be Mike Schilt or Ryan Flaherty. And if it is Mike Schilt or Ryan Flaherty, I mean, it doesn't matter when they make the hire. Because that's true. These guys aren't interviewing. Mike Schultz not interviewing with anyone. Ryan Flaherty's not interviewing. Benji Gill is interviewed with the Angels. But, again, if you're hiring Schilt or Flaherty, they're there for you, man. You could call them in the middle of November. You could call them on Thanksgiving Day. You could call them at the winter meetings. They're there for you. I think they're waiting for that opportunity. I think if you go with anyone else, again, it's not overly desirable. I don't believe what AJ said a couple of weeks ago when he said he's getting all these calls from really serious candidates. Because he's only brought in 2 other people to interview, and only 1 is still available. And he would be a first-time manager in Benji Gill. So that's all you need to know about what others around baseball think of this job heading into 2024.
Yeah, it's a job that has a little dark cloud.
Yeah,
maybe a bigger dark cloud than we think, hanging over its head. Because the thought around baseball is, why did you get rid of Bob Melvin?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is, I think, the thought, like, what happened there?
Right.
That's weird. Bob's one of the most respected guys in the game. He just took you to an NLCS. He gave you back-to-back winning seasons, even though this season sucked. But still, technicalities are he gave you 2 winning seasons.
Sure.
For the 2 times he was there. So 2 years that he was there. So, like, why did you let him go? And I think that's kind of what a lot of baseball people were wondering. And then also with that, it's like, well, then who's going to want to respect it, go there and go into that mess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you're getting the internal guys. And that's why you're getting a first-time guy, Benji Gill, who, I would like Carlos Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would like Benji Gill. I don't know if that's going to happen. And it wouldn't surprise me if going through this whole thing, in the end, he lands back on Ryan Flaherty. And that would be so Padres.
Yeah, it probably would. Here's the deal. Whoever they hire at manager, there will be no parade. I would be moderately excited if it's Benji Gill. I know, though, it's not the difference necessarily between winning and losing at a high level in 2024. I feel the same way about Flaherty. I'm not going to like the hire. I'm not going to be overly enthusiastic about it on air, but I'm not going to say it makes or breaks 2024 because I feel as if so many other pieces are, playing a role in that. I feel like it starts with Preller. It starts with this core 4 in the lineup.
Yeah.
It starts with guys like Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish staying healthy. And I don't care. The difference in Ryan Flaherty managing this team and Benji Gill managing this team is we have no clue. It's going to be impossible to say if that is any difference at all. Like, any difference.
Do you feel like there's a possibility there's a mystery candidate out there that we're not thinking of?
Potentially. I don't think it's anything like overly sexy.
Like, do you think that potentially Skip Schumacher could play a factor here? Like, I'm just trying to think is there any potential secret type of candidate that nobody knows about that they could go out and get?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, maybe. I don't think anything is overly surprising with Preller. Schumacher's got a year on his deal right now with Miami. I mean, it doesn't seem as if it's a perfect fit. But, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm not going to say it's going to make their season either. I think if Skip Schumacher comes back, again, he's got to deal with the payroll. He's got to deal with the rotation. He's got to deal with the personalities. Maybe he can do it more effectively than Melvin did in 2023, but maybe not. So we're going to find out hopefully at some point this week as the Padres reportedly down to 3 candidates: Mike Schilt, Ryan Flaherty, Benji Gill.
It was 4 before Carlos Mendoza got hired by the Mets this morning.
And we'll see if there's a mystery candidate or not. All right, it is the opening day for college basketball, including here at San Diego State. Aztecs, Fullerton, Coming up at 7:30, banner raising night inside Viejas Arena. We're broadcasting outside Viejas Arena. Brian Ralph does a great job covering men's college basketball. We'll talk to him about the Aztecs, the Mountain West, and hoops in the West. He's a senior national writer for Heat Check. Brian Ralph will join us on the other side. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it's Schaefer. I've been telling you all about my friends over at Windmill Farms, their owner Trevor, who's been in the grocery business for 20 plus years with his family and his mom, and I've run into him a couple times over at Windmill Farms. This is your place. We're on campus right now at San Diego State. They're so centrally located. Whatever you need, if it's for your weekend, getting ready for game days and hanging out, grilling, Windmill Farms has it for you. Tailgating at college football games. And then during your work week, you can pick up a lunch over at Windmill Farms, and you can do so and get your 8th sandwich free with the sandwich card. And they've got low prices. They have incredible ingredients as well. You need to get over to Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer. They've got you covered, whatever it is, organic, farm fresh produce and meats. An amazing craft beer selection. They've got the full deli, again, with the sandwich card. Your 8th sandwich is free, and they've got only the freshest, highest quality ingredients. And again, they pride themselves on keeping those prices so incredibly low. They're located right off Del Cerro Boulevard, across the freeway here from the Mesa. Windmill Farms is family-owned, serving San Diegans for over 20 years. They've got weekly specials for you at windmillfarmsmarket.com. By the way, if you don't live or work near Del Cerro, no problem. You can find Windmill Farms on Instacart. Have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. Check them out this work week. Check them out this weekend and shop local. Shop at Windmill Farms.
This update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. We'll start with baseball news of the day. 3 new managers hired in baseball today. The Mets hiring Carlos Mendoza. He was a finalist for the Padres job. Guardians hiring former catcher Stephen Voigt. And the Cubs making a stunner, firing David Ross and hiring Craig Counsell. Last night, the San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinals 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs open up their basketball season versus Cal State Fullerton. 7:30 tip right here on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, Jon and Jim with you outside Viejas Arena. Of course, you can hear the Aztecs tonight right here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Ted Leitner on the call. Our pregame coverage basically has begun.
Yeah.
Officially will kick off at 6 p.m. We're with you until 6 on Jon and Jim, then 6 to 7:30 pregame coverage. Then the Aztecs and the Cal State Fullerton Titans. It's good to catch up right now with Brian Ralph, national writer for Heat Check College Basketball, joining us right now in San Diego. So, Brian, we appreciate your time, and we want to start, obviously, with San Diego State. Coming off the appearance in the national championship game, yeah, they're replacing a lot. They also have a lot back, Lamont Butler, Jaden Ledee, and others. So what are your expectations for a team coming off their first ever run to a Final Four? What do you expect for them in terms of an encore?
Somewhat the same as last year. Now, the run to the national title game may not happen again. Brian Dutcher's been very upfront about how things have to break a certain way for you in the NCAA tournament, and they certainly do. But in terms of the level of play, I think we'll see from this team during the regular season, we'll be at about the same level, where they're a top 15-ish team in the country, sometimes playing at a top 10 level, sometimes playing top 20. But I don't think the level of play is going to drop too far from last year. It may look a little bit different. They're going to be smaller, may trade off a little bit defensively for some more offensive firepower. But in terms of where they stand nationally, I still view them as a top 15 caliber team.
And how do you view the Mountain West Conference as a whole this season?
I think it's going to get more bids in the NCAA tournament than the Pac-12 potentially. And now it's been up and coming. I think the league nationally and San Diego State's run, I think, validated a lot of what the league has done, because people couldn't pull out the recent tournament struggles for the conference. But you have 5 teams really that have legitimate NCAA tournament aspirations and are teams that I think others around the country know as being good programs and other teams are scared of, right? San Diego State leads that pack with Colorado State, New Mexico, Boise State as well, and then Nevada are all programs that I think have the potential to make some noise on a national landscape this season. And they're at the point where if your team is playing them, you know you're in for a fight.
Brian Ralph, senior national writer for Heat Check College Basketball, with us right now, Jon and Jim. San Diego State, Cal State, Fullerton coming up tonight at 7:30. Brian, in your opinion, what does it say about the state of the Aztecs program when you see a schedule like the one that Brian Dutcher and his staff have put together, where I think they have 7 top 100 KenPom teams in the non-conference? Gonzaga is in there. St. Mary's is in there. I'm missing some others. Cal on a neutral floor. Possibility of Xavier in Las Vegas as well. They're going to BYU on Friday. What does it say about this program that they're willing to schedule like that, despite the fact that the Mountain West is supposed to get 3, 4, 5 teams into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think it's a confidence in this group, which is earned, a confidence in the program, which is also earned. I think you also have to look at the same point, the fact that other teams are willing to schedule them, right? They've crossed over this bridge now from where there's like this middle ground where you are a really good non-power conference program, where if you're stuck in that middle ground, teams may not schedule you because they know you're going to give them a tough game, and the metrics may not back it up as essentially being a good game. The metrics are a little bit behind in that sense. Obviously, San Diego State is way on the other side of that now, so they can get these games if they want them. And Brian Dutcher has said that they're not backing out from anybody. They're not scared of anybody. And the program has really been that way, even going back to the later part of Steve Fisher's tenure. And it's stuff they want to do, and they want to have their guys tested for March. And obviously, with an experienced group, an experienced backcourt, they want to see what they have and really test themselves.
Well, what would you say the weakness is for San Diego State this season?
My big question, and I don't know if it's a weakness, but my big question is how they replace Mensa inside, because that helped so much with what they did last year. Just defensively, they were able to pressure as much as they wanted to on the perimeter because you had this eraser, this steadying force around the rim who could help limit the impact of any mistakes you made gambling for a steal or getting beat off the dribble. They had that guy back there, and there are some good rim protectors on this team. I think Ledee can develop it and become a solid one, and there are some younger big men who are going to step into bigger roles who certainly have potential. But Mensa was a proven commodity who was a all-conference defensive player of the year caliber player, one of the better shot blockers in the country. I talked earlier about San Diego State being a little different. They're going to play smaller. They're going to still pressure on the perimeter. I'm interested to see how effective that is with what's going to be some drop-off on the inside. How big that drop-off is, we'll see. That's the question to me is just how dominant they can be if there is any kind of drop-off in that rim protection.
Yeah, Brian, it's almost like they were uniquely set up to deal with what they dealt with last year in the NCAA tournament because of Mensa, because they went up against like Kalkbrenner at Creighton, Bediako at Alabama, Sonogo, Klingen, the FAU center. I forget his name, that 7'2" center who's back this year as well. It's like they were really set up for size a year ago in the NCAA tournament. It will be interesting to see if they face that same combination this year, if they have enough on the inside to negate that. Brian Ralph is with us right now. Again, he's the senior national writer for Heat Check College Basketball. Talking about tonight, and I know it's just the opener. Obviously, the expectations are San Diego State beats Cal State Fullerton, but it's like a banner-raising night, and it's San Diego State at home for the first time since the Final Four. Fullerton's a good program. Just in terms of this game, I mean, is this kind of a sneaky game potentially for San Diego State where you're taking the best punch from an opponent on an opening night, and you got to be careful in this spot, or what do you think?
Yeah, it can be if they're not focused, and all of the pomp and circumstance around it with the banner being raised and all that certainly, I think, raises your cause for concern from it being a normal game. But this program also hasn't gotten where they've gotten by looking ahead or not caring about all those details and the game preparations, right? That the toughness that's instilled in this program essentially won't allow for that to happen. I would be shocked if they kind of looked ahead. There's going to be some, and you're throwing a lot of younger guys into the mix. You're going to have their first real crack at some of the larger roles they're going to be counted on to have. But from a focus standpoint, with where this program is at and the culture that's been instilled, I am far less concerned about them than I would be with some other programs around the country.
Brian, before you go, as the season starts, was it North Carolina who was preseason number one last year?
It was,
missed the tournament.
It was.
So you kind of never know. I mean, heading into the year, who's your top team? Again, we could look at an AP poll like we did a year ago, and people would have said North Carolina. They missed the tournament. Who's the team you're looking at right now as a team that's got a legitimate shot, maybe the most legitimate shot to get to a Final Four?
Yeah, I'm looking across Tobacco Road at Duke. I think Duke has the best combination of returning talent and experience, coupled with the influx of talent, whether it be freshman class or transfer portal. Duke has gone to the freshman class. You lose in experience, but I think you gain some real talent, particularly on the perimeter, that a lot of teams around the country don't have. I think one of the things that benefited San Diego State so much last year in March was their guard play. Because guard play is down across the country pretty much. All the best players are big men, but you still need guard play to make real noise in March and play at a really high level the way college basketball is played. I think Duke potentially has the best guard in the country in Tyrese Proctor. And Jeremy Roach is steadying hand senior now. Some of the freshmen they brought in are NBA caliber guards. I don't think you find that caliber of player and depth of that caliber of player anywhere else. So you have that coupled with the guys they have back, obviously Kyle Filipowski, All-American big man for them. It's kind of boring and bland, and I know people won't like it saying Duke, but I'm really high on what this Duke team can do.
Brian, we're excited for the college basketball season to be back, for it to get underway tonight in San Diego as well. We appreciate your time for our listeners here in San Diego, and thanks for doing it today.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Brian Ralph, again, senior national writer, Heat Check College Basketball. By the way, Jim, today we're going to do in the 4 o'clock hour, we've got a pair of tickets to give away to the Rady Children's Invitational, which is coming to San Diego later this month. This is tickets for the Championship Friday. Winner will get to see the championship game and the consolation game. Tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. This involves SC, Seton Hall, Oklahoma, and Iowa coming up Thanksgiving week. And again, tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. But Brian Ralph saying he's pretty high on San Diego State, top 15 caliber coming into the year.
I like hearing that.
Yeah.
Where do they start this year? 17th?
17th in the AP, 15th in the coaches poll.
Okay. So about where I think we all expected them to be going into the season.
Right.
But as he said there, and I think a lot of Aztecs fans and us included, the loss of Nathan Mensah in the middle, we don't know how much that's going to affect this team this year. It's going to affect them. We just don't know how much it will, because he was at times a dominant defensive force down there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just look at the Alabama game. What, 5 blocks?
Yeah, I think that's right.
It just, when you're going up against high-level teams, you're going to need size down low, and you need rim protection. And I don't know if this Aztec team has that dominant rim protector like they had in Nathan.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair question. I think maybe what they're losing in defense, they're potentially gaining in offense potentially. But again, your calling card here at San Diego State, obviously, is your ability to get stops. So we'll get back into it. We're outside Viejas Arena, Jon and Jim. We've got the latest on the Padres and their expected managerial hire coming later this week. But on the other side, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. Aztecs and Fullerton Titans coming up at 7:30. We're with you outside Viejas Arena. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right. Is there another candidate to consider for the Padres' vacant managerial position? Plus, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend next. $70470. Start your message with Team 858. Don't let Jim, that's you, Jim, go inside Viejas Arena tonight. He will curse the season. 858. Don't let Jim go inside. He will curse the season. Remember, Jim was not inside Viejas Arena last year. San Diego State was almost perfect at home. I think they had one loss. Then they went to a national championship game. Now you're going in tonight off the national championship game appearance.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little bit like a front runner, a bid.
Not really.
No?
Because look, last year, what was working is me not going. So I just didn't go. This year, we're starting a new trend, baby.
Okay.
If I go, good things will happen, hopefully.
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
They need to win tonight, please.
If you see Jim inside tonight, take a picture of the back of his head. Okay, here's the thing. We're going to get to is that good in a moment. All right, so 3 candidates, right? Gill, Flaherty, Schilt.
Correct.
What about, you know where I'm going?
I don't.
Taking a flyer on David Ross, who now finds himself available after getting ousted by the Cubs after 4 years. Now, a terrible finish.
Yeah, just
terrible finish.
Terrible.
This past year, so I kind of understand it, to be honest. But David Ross, is he a worthy candidate for the Padres?
So you want to go out and get a guy who managed a team that completely crumbled down the stretch.
Brent?
Is Brent there?
I'm here.
Your thoughts
on David Ross?
It's better than Flaherty.
Yeah, I mean, 4-year manager. I mean, the Cubs didn't do anything all 4 of those years, right?
No,
No,
I
but
don't
they
think
weren't
made the
really
postseason.
supposed to do anything.
know.
Though.
Yeah, he's like the
Little bit
Andy
Andy Green.
Andy Greenish.
With a better resume.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, better like appeal.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
known and better career, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm not feeling David Ross, honestly. Because that to me would signal retread.
Yeah.
That would signal
like settling a little bit.
Yeah, like, hey, if it's the Cubs literally fired this guy.
But he's good for us.
He's good for us.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't either. I really have no idea what David Ross's future looks like. But, I mean, to get fired after your owner had said a couple of weeks ago, he's our guy, he's our manager, it's very much like the San Diego situation, to be honest.
It's interesting because Carlos Mendoza, he got hired by the Mets today, And we were talking last week, like, do we really want a guy here that's been kind of, bridesmaid, never the bride?
I think it's a smart hire by the Mets because they know that if it doesn't work out, they can make a change
Easily.
If they're not supposed to be good in 2024, why would they go out and spend $8 million on Craig Counsell?
And they're not expected to win next year. They're expected, as Max Scherzer said when we went to Texas, like, yeah, I was told they're going to be gutting that thing next year.
Right. But they will be good soon. I mean, the Mets are going to try to rebuild this thing quickly, but are they going to do it with a different manager after 2024? All right now let's get to this.
I think one of the craziest stories in the NFL, I know it's not going to get a lot of play nationally. Okay. It might because it's the NFL, but Josh Dobbs, who was traded from the Cardinals to the Vikings this past weekend, he went into the game yesterday as the backup, not taking any reps with anybody during the week for practice, had to like literally mid-game take snaps from the center because he never took snaps from the center. The starter of the Vikings that day, I forget his name, he got injured in the first quarter. So then Josh Dobbs has to go in there, and he immediately gets to safety. He gets sacked, safety. You're like, oh, God, if you're a Vikings fan, like, here we go. Dude actually kind of balled out, and the Vikings won. And Josh Dobbs was pretty damn good. He had over 60 yards rushing, counted for 3 total touchdowns, no turnovers. It was incredible. Josh Dobbs is that good.
It is. According to Brent, very good.
Yeah.
We've mentioned Craig Counsell. He signed the richest deal in baseball history today for a manager. 5 years, $40 million. As the Cubs against Spurn David Ross, Counsell is in. Is that good, Brent?
No, it's no good.
No good.
You don't like this, Brent.
No, I'm not
Why?
a fan. Because I think Counsell's overrated as a manager. He doesn't know how to manage a bullpen. Ask Josh Hader. And he makes dumb decisions in the playoffs. So I wasn't real happy about it.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. What do you got?
And then they give him the highest contract ever, and that's not good either. So
$8 million a year.
It's no good. Are you
kidding me? Brent hates this move. Okay. Second up for me, CJ Stroud. And this guy's turning out to be not just easily the rookie of the year in the NFL, but like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's thrown for 1 interception all year long.
Crazy.
Yesterday, he threw for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Amazing.
This guy's been incredible. Is that good?
It is good.
If you're a Panthers fan right now, you're beside yourself.
Oh, yes.
You're like, are you effing kidding me right now?
No doubt. San Diego's been it has a different feel. All the Panther fans right now downtown with what's going on right now with CJ Stroud. The Aztecs back home tonight to kick off the 2023-24 season. Do you know San Diego State has the 3rd best record in the nation since the start of the 2019 season? 3rd best, 108 wins, 23 losses. Brent, is that good?
It is good.
Very good.
Very good. And finally, for me, Gold Gloves were handed out yesterday.
That's right.
I mean, it's the Gold Gloves. We kind of, knock them, rightfully so. But Fernando Tatis Jr.'s first year in right field wins a Gold Glove. Ha-Seong Kim wins a Gold Glove as utility man. Is that good?
It is good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's good.
It's like the best thing they've had happen this year.
I know. It's not like I feel like this like overwhelming, amazing thing, but at least they got recognized, and so, yeah, it's good.
Congratulations to them. NBA ratings for the in-season tournament Friday night compared to last year, the same Friday night, up 35%. It was the closest margin on an NBA Friday night or like an NBA night in forever. The average victory in those games is like, 3 or 4 points between the teams. So competitive games, ratings up 35%. Everyone's into the in-season tournament. Is that good? Brent likes it.
So,
well, here's my caveat with that though. The one thing I would like to see is I want to see what the matchups were last year on that Friday. They were comparing it because if it was Clippers and the Sacramento Clippers and somebody bad, then it makes sense why this year was rated higher.
Also, why the hell do we have to wait like a week and a half before the in-season tournament continues? I thought this thing was going to be like when it starts, you're going to have like a week and a half or 2 weeks of in-season tournament play, and then you're going to Vegas, and then we resume with the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Stupidity. It's stupid.
Well,
you had a little bit of momentum.
Friday night.
You had a little bit of momentum. Continue with it.
It's coming Friday night.
NBA is stupid.
Friday night. In-season tournament.
In-season tournament. Stupid.
And then next Tuesday night, just when you were getting into it, I know they take a week off.
Stupid.
All right, on the other side, hour 2 of Jon and Jim. In the 4 o'clock hour, we'll give away a pair of tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational Championship Friday, featuring Seton Hall, SC, Iowa, Oklahoma. Tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. On the other side, we will get to the wrap. We'll be joined by Mike Coleman from Aztec Link. We told you about Butler at the buzzer last week with Lamont Butler on Friday. We'll tell you more about that coming up today at 5 p.m. as well. San Diego State, Cal State Fullerton tonight at 7:30. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. We'll start with baseball news of the day. 3 new managers hired in baseball. We have Carlos Mendoza is going to the Mets. We have Stephen Voigt going to the Guardians. And a shocker today, Craig Counsell. He is going to the Cubs as the Cubs are firing their current manager, David Ross. Last night, San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinal 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs open up their basketball season versus Cal State Fullerton, 7:30 tip. Our pregame coverage officially starts at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2 of Jon and Jim outside Viejas Arena on this gorgeous Monday late afternoon with the sun setting. We've had whatever it was, daylight savings.
Dude, I hate daylight savings.
Yeah, I don't know if that means like we're on daylight savings or we're not on daylight savings. All I know is we have 1 less hour of sunlight.
Yeah, it's stupid.
In the afternoons, which is kind of, listen, in terms
Extra hour
of
of
first
sleep,
world, yeah, not when you have a kid, though. In terms of first world problems for afternoon drive radio hosts,
yeah,
it sucks because the show doesn't end until 6 o'clock and it's dark every day,
like
from the first week of November until the first week of March.
It's like 4:45.
Now, the good news is it doesn't snow here and it's never like 22 degrees.
John fact.
And now Fletch says he goes to work when it's dark, which I guess is true because he wakes up at 4 in the morning.
But he gets to leave when it's
He
light
leaves
out.
at 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fletch is out of there, what, 8:53, Fletch, you typically leave?
Yeah, 8:54.
Oh, yeah, you know Ben. He's always out of the office at 8:50 in the morning. So it's a little bit of like a afternoon radio drive problem. It's not the end of the world, though.
It's not the end of the world, but it's also stupid. Like how I didn't know this until a couple years ago that daylight savings time is like a law.
Well, what are you talking about?
Like I thought it was because
You thought we just all elected to do it?
Thought we just did it for the hell of it.
Like I thought it was something to do with like, I don't know, the rotation of the earth or something. But now I realize it's like, hey, some people put in the law that the clocks have to be set back a certain time every year. Stupid.
Well, technically, we voted to get rid of it in California like 4 years ago. They
But
just
kept
never
it.
did it. For
So I
some
think
reason.
there's one state that doesn't use it, right? Arizona
Yeah.
is the only one.
Smart.
Yeah, it's very smart. I agree with you. I mean, there was nothing wrong. Everything was fine.
Like
Last week, everything was fine. They've changed everything.
If your reasoning is like for farming, well, it's California. Like where's all this farming happening in California? Like, give me a break.
I think there's a lot of farming in California.
But not as much as maybe like in the Midwest.
Is that a Jim fact or is that factual?
And I'm going with the Jim fact and factual.
Okay, now Fletcher says you're 100% false. California is a massive state. You know how much land there is?
You know what? I'm just going to say this one more time.
Yeah, you hate it.
Daylight savings time is stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
End of discussion.
I do. All right, this hour we're going to give away a pair of tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. This is for Championship Friday. Winner will get to see the championship game and the consolation game. Rady Children's Invitational is a men's college basketball tournament right here in San Diego, the first ever invitational. Thanksgiving 2023, Lion Tree Arena on UC San Diego's campus. 4 elite college basketball programs committed to the invitational through 2024. This holiday tournament promises an unforgettable weekend of basketball beaches and the best San Diego has to offer. Iowa, SC, Seton Hall, and Oklahoma in this year's event. And tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. Jon and Jim with you from outside Viejas Arena. 7:30, San Diego State will start its season against Cal State Fullerton. And right now, let's get to this.
It's never too early, I guess. Is tonight a must win for the Aztecs?
Oh my
Must-win
gosh.
question.
For me, it's a must win.
By the way, I need to uncharge this because
Okay.
my computer's going to die.
Okay. Hold on. What are we doing? There we go.
You don't want the stream dying.
No, you want this to go? We got it?
There we go.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's a must win for me tonight. They cannot lose.
It is for you, yes.
For me,
yes.
it's a must, absolute
Yes.
must, no doubt about it, win night for me.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at. Oh, look who just showed up. Look who just showed up.
Darnay.
Darnay Tripp.
Darnay, you're coming on. What are you doing? Oh, we did.
We
But
did,
Can you
yes.
come on in 5 minutes? Yeah, in 5 minutes. Unbelievable. Don't big league us.
Wow, he's big
That's
leaguing
unbelievable.
us. Okay.
Yeah, please do. All right.
Let's do a hit.
Okay, so it's a must-win game for Jim. I agree with you. It's not a must-win game for the Aztecs, as much as you'd really like to have this game. Jim will never hear the end of this.
No.
The San Diego State basketball program will survive. It's an important game as you're home and you're raising banners, and you've got a hard schedule in the non-conference. But, of course, it's not a must-win game. All right, next question.
Sorry, I was reading the text line. I want to know, can we get a Jim segment called "It's Stupid"? NBA in-season tournament,
I like that.
Stupid. Daylight savings, stupid. AJ Preller, stupid.
A lot of stupid.
And the text before that, 858 says, Jim, you're an idiot.
Thanks.
All right, next question.
Is tonight a bigger game for the Chargers or the Jets?
It's a decent game, isn't it?
Decent.
Yeah.
I would say.
Let's see AFC standings. Chargers are 3-4, and Jets are 4-3, maybe.
Well, the
Jets are 4-3.
If the Jets win tonight, there's like an outside shot that they could win that. I mean, they're right in the division race. If they win tonight and they go to 5-3,
that's amazing. They'd be a half game behind the Dolphins.
They would be.
So ahead of Buffalo.
Right.
Yeah,
they are. You're right.
I think I'll go with the Jets.
Bigger game for the Jets because they have more to play for.
Yeah.
But the Chargers at 3-4. I mean, they want to hang around for a wild card spot.
You can come on. Okay.
He'll join us in a couple of minutes.
All
Perfect.
Right. I know.
What do you think, Darnay? Bigger game for the Chargers or the Jets? And if I'm going to ask you that, why don't you just come on? All right. Darnay says Chargers because they're 3-4. If they lose this game, they're 3-5. They're not going to make the postseason potentially at 2 games under 500.
Does his headset work?
All right. Next question.
Hold on.
We'll come over here. Next question.
How would you describe the season for the San Diego Wave after losing at home in the semifinals last night?
I would say the San Diego sports curse is back. I mean, dude, did you see how they lost last night?
No, you made it up. You're like, it was off 3 players and ricocheted in. I watched the highlight. It wasn't off anyone. She just kicked it in the net.
Yeah, but she said she didn't mean to do this. She's like, I wasn't trying to score a goal there.
Well, yeah, but she still kicked the ball and it went in the net.
It was a great season that ended in a San Diego playoff sports fashion. Like, you're at home, you were the best team in the NWSL, and you have a chance to go to the championship. It will be played in your home stadium next week, and you lose.
So, Darnay, the question is this: how would you describe the season for the Wave after losing at home in the semifinals last night?
I mean, look, if you win the regular season title, it's going to be a success. You're in your second season. I think, echoing what Jim said, that's what makes it rough. Like, if they weren't hosting and say the championship was in like Houston or Portland or something,
right,
you'd be like, oh, they lost, what a bummer. But you don't know when you're going to get another opportunity to play and potentially win a championship on your home turf. And so I think that's what kind of makes it rough. But look, year 2, continuing to set attendance records, you win the league for the first time during the regular season. I mean, that's all big time. And you're seeing other players develop. I think what we learned is it's not just the Alex Morgan show. There are other players that are really, really promising. We're going to be seeing, representing the United States for a long time. So that's all well and good. It just to lose on a fluky goal, to not put your best foot forward and to miss out on an opportunity to play for a championship on your turf, that's tough.
Was that a pun? Best foot forward because it's soccer. It was. I like that. No, they've been a marketing machine. I mean, their success is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The way they draw, whether it's regular season or postseason, they've been remarkably successful. Of course, you'd rather win than lose in that spot, but it doesn't take away from a really good year that they had in San Diego. All right, Brent, let's get to our final question here.
All right, guys, how are the Padres going to replace Blake Snell, Seth Lugo, and Michael Wacha in the rotation?
Kind of a wild concept here, but by signing other players.
Ooh. They can
more
sign
shortstops.
More shortstops to fill the pitcher role. It's tough because you're losing the Cy Young and 2 pitchers that were, 2 of your best pitchers all season long. Michael Wacha, 14 wins. Seth Lugo proved that he could be a starter in this league. But it's up to AJ to go out and find those diamond in the roughs. And hopefully Ruben Niebla can, turn those pitchers into quality pitchers. But it's going to be tough, dude. I just don't envision the start of next season looking at their rotation, whatever it is, and saying that rotation is better than what they had last year.
What do you think, Darnay? Snell, Lugo, Wacha, is this going to be a little bit inside the organization, some free agency? How do they address this?
I will say, Did we know about Nick Martinez until they signed Nick Martinez?
No.
Did we know about Robert Suarez before they signed Robert Suarez?
Even Lugo, right?
Lugo,
Yeah.
Waka.
Starter,
I was there at spring training last year when they signed Waka, and we had a chance to talk to him for the first time. I was like, obviously, you know the name Michael Waka, Seth Lugo, and those guys, but Waka kind of came out of nowhere and had a fantastic season. So AJ Preller has had some history of finding kind of these diamond in the rough types or guys that, we don't really know too much about internationally elsewhere and turning them into useful pieces. But it is hard to imagine, especially one of those guys is a Cy Young. Like, you're not just going to poach a Cy Young winner out of nowhere, but hopefully you can find guys that can give you, reliable innings every fifth day.
I will say this, that where it's not a good hitter's yard, obviously, Petco, we always talk about it, that makes a good pitcher's yard. So oftentimes guys listen, Lugo and Waka earned a better payday on the other side based on what they did in San Diego. But not that you're looking for reclamation projects, but it's not, impossible to envision guys coming here based on being such a good pitcher's yard and having more success than they're having elsewhere. Just like when we see these hitters come here and struggle, Xander Bogaerts is not exactly shocking because we look at how tough of a hitter's yard it is. But I agree with both of you. You lose the Cy Young Award winner, your rotation is not going to be as good. I mean, it's as simple as that. I don't care who they replace Blake Snell with. The year he just had in 2023, going into the year, you're not going to say they have a better rotation than they had a year ago.
And they were your top 3 starters from last season. I think Darvish had a bad year and he got hurt. I think Joe Musgrove, when he pitched, was really good, but he was hurt at the start of the year and then hurt at the end of the year. You're losing your top 3 starters. And with the money issues, oncoming for this team, and they're going to have to go out and try to find those diamonds in the rough. Like, they're going to put, I feel like, a lot of emphasis on Ruben Niebla to fix whoever they bring in. Like, hey, we're going to bring in this reclamation project. We feel that confident with Ruben that he can turn that pitcher, whoever it is, into the next Waka or the next Lugo. Probably not the next Blake Snell,
sure,
but at least you can go out and, hey, get a guy for $7-8 million. And we trust Ruben Niebla that much that he's going to go out and he's going to turn that guy into a valuable starter.
How are you feeling about this managerial search, by the way? Because I know you were with Darren for 30 minutes and we weren't connected at the time that you were on the air because of us being on remote. So I'm sure you talked about it. But obviously, we know the Mets have made a hire. The Padres had interviewed that candidate. You got the 2 internal. You've got the external and Benji Gill. Could someone else pop up, a David Ross or someone like that? What's taking, I don't know if it's so long. What are they still waiting on, and what do you think this is going to come down to?
That's a great question, because it never really seemed like they were going to cast a wide net outside of the organization. And so we've heard a couple of names, and the names that we've heard, including Mendoza now with the Mets and Benji Gill, I think Phil Nevin, it seemed like those are the guys that they talked about or were talking to. And it seemed like that was kind of it. And so it's a fair question, like, what is taking so long, especially when the assumption was that good chance it's Schultz or Flaherty. I can't answer that question. It's probably good that they didn't announce it today, because I think it just would have kind of gotten lost in all the huge news with Craig Counsell making $8 million a year and all that. And then the Padres announced, hey, we're bringing in Ryan Flaherty. And maybe it doesn't have kind of the same effect as, Mendoza staying in New York, going to a different franchise. Certainly the Craig Counsell news, but it is a little interesting that when there seemed to be kind of a limited search, it's the one that is taking a little bit longer than some of these others.
So, of the 3 that are remaining, who's your pick?
Well, it's now, I believe, sealed in an envelope with Darren.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you have an envelope sealed too, right?
But I told him Schilt. So, not like a super surprising, hot takey type pick, anything out of left field. But I don't know how much we're really expecting that. I do really like the idea of Benji Gill. But I would be really curious to see if they go that direction out of house. What does that mean for Schilt? What does that mean for Flaherty? Especially a guy like Flaherty, who had a chance to interview with the Mets. They said, no, we're keeping you around here. Schilt's kind of been around. Do those guys say, hey, you gave us an opportunity, you went a different direction, maybe we pursue other opportunities? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
What about this idea? Jim mentioned it even today, like this mystery candidate. It is AJ Preller. Yeah, we know that it's been, like you said, they haven't casted a wide net, but you do have someone like a David Ross available. Certainly there are ties to other managers like a Skip Schumacher. We'll see how realistic that is or not. Like, do you think there's a possibility we hear an additional name or not here?
I think it's always possible with AJ Preller, because he's generally kind of unpredictable and difficult to peg down. And so, look, did anybody mention Bob Melvin's name until I believe AJ Cassavell broke the news in 2021? So it could always he could always go against kind of our expectations. I think that'd be a pretty big surprise. Like Melvin was a surprise just because we hadn't heard about him, but we knew that they were kind of looking in different avenues. Now, when it does seem like it's kind of one of these three guys, if they go a different route, I'd be really curious to hear from AJ Preller's perspective why they did that, and maybe what they didn't see out of the guys that seemed to kind of have the leg up.
Well, I think we've been talking about it. Whatever route they go is going to perceive to be a downgrade. I mean, I don't think anybody they hire would be considered an upgrade on day one. That manager could turn out to be good in the future, like a Flaherty or a Gill, but from day one, they're a downgrade from Melvin. And two, you are now going to be having probably the fifth best manager in the division. So whoever they hire, it's kind of like whatever with me. It's more or less on how he builds this roster this upcoming season. And if you can actually get some depth pieces, find those diamonds in the rough. And if they trade Juan Soto, that's like kind of just throw your hands up type of moment where you're like, okay, what are we trying to do here? Are you trying to win?
Yeah.
Or are you doing this because you guys are really broke and you don't have any money?
And I find that I'm not that interested in the managerial search in
Right.
a weird way.
Yeah.
Like not compared to like the last couple rounds of it. And I think to your point, part of it is knowing that there's so much work to be done on the roster front. There is a major question with Juan Soto, and it seems like that's going to have more of a bearing. And, can you retain Ruben Niebla than whoever's in that seat? And I think part of that, too, is the fact that we haven't had a chance to get to know these guys for very long. It's been a revolving door. And so how excited can you really get at this point about whoever it ends up being? I find at this point it's kind of whatever, but I'm very much interested in what happens from the roster standpoint because they are in a tricky situation. There's going to be some important and potentially difficult decisions they have to make.
If they lose Ruben Niebla, it'll be the ultimate sky is falling. This thing is over. Like that almost feels more important than whoever they hire at manager,
100%.
retaining Ruben Niebla. And to your point, I completely agree with you. Like, how do you fill out this rotation? How do you fill out this roster? What do you do with Juan Soto? It means so much more than the manager. I mean, Flaherty or Schild, what does it even mean? Based on the roster that the Padres are going to field in 2023. But the Niebla thing, and I know there was some initial reports from Kevin Acee saying he might get an interview, which is a little interesting because then you'd have to backfill with a pitching coach if he became the manager. But like, you can't. I don't want to see that. Hey, Craig Counsell has hired Ruben Niebla email. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because if they're willing to spend $8 million on the manager, they are willing to do whatever they need to do on his coaching staff.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting time. Like you need to hire someone because you can't lose someone like Ruben Niebla. He's just too important.
And he seemed like the one guy that was like above reproach this season. Like everybody was criticizing Melvin. Everybody was criticizing he or Preller.
Right.
Niebla kind of got off scot-free, fairly or not. But I agree with you. Like I find that way more important than whoever they hire in terms of the manager. And I think, the criticism, and that was my worry with Bob Melvin. Now, I don't know if any of us really know how loyal he feels to Bob Melvin. Obviously he's got local ties. And so that certainly helps. But that was kind of one of my concerns. It's like, okay, you might be comfortable losing Bob Melvin. How comfortable would you be losing Ruben Niebla? And, he should get an interview at this point. His aspirations, none of us really know. Would he be put off if he was overlooked? That's another one of those questions. That's more important than Schilt and Flaherty, from my standpoint. Yeah. So all kind of the little dominoes from kind of the main domino being the manager on top of the roster, to me, is more compelling than like, is it Schilt or Flaherty?
And like, I agree that the manager, to me, whoever they hire is going to be just like a shoulder shrug, like, okay, whatever, like there's nothing there's no manager candidate that stands out to me. But if they do go Ryan Flaherty, right, wouldn't that be perceived the worst of the three? Also, the look of this guy, you didn't allow him to interview with the Mets earlier this year. You also heard rumors back in August that he could be the successor to Bob Melvin.
Yeah.
And then now he becomes your manager. It kind of just would be like the worst look of the three, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think it's probably the guy that gets people least excited. Probably the biggest head scratcher too, because there's no track record. There's no history. So little about it. Schilt has managed, multiple postseason teams. Yeah. He's done some things. I will say, Benji Gill would kind of interest me.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but he's kind of the outside the box, name that, coming from a different profile, different history, like that's the one guy that say, okay, that's interesting. They're going in a different direction now. First time manager. That's obviously nothing new with AJ Preller,
No.
but his local ties, coaching the Mexican national team in the WBC, like it's got an interesting background and history that I think would pique my interest a little bit more than Shilton and certainly Flair.
Hey, well, if they hire Benji Gill, you have the perfect recruiter for Shohei Ohtani.
Yes, they're boys. They're boys.
They're
I'm sure
boys.
that's going to play a huge role.
I'm sure it is.
Real quick, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Well, we're doing
probably
a radio
doing the
show.
same thing.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the
I
Aztecs.
don't know what we're doing here.
Aztecs Titans, 7:30. We got pregame at 6.
Oh,
we
yeah,
have John
that.
and Jim from 3 to 6. You can hear every game on San Diego Sports 760.
Of course.
So you're covering this game tonight? You here all night, or what's the deal?
Myself and photojournalist Elroy Spatcher getting ready to go live and talk Aztecs a little bit with the folks back at the station. Then we'll be inside after the gates open at 6 o'clock. So a couple live hits, 4:40 and 6:50 if you're watching NBC7. We'll
keep
be
it right
talking
here.
Aztec basketball. You can have you guys open on YouTube on your lap and us on your TV.
Yes.
Multi-screen experience will be a good time.
And just like we thought there was no sports wrap today for John and Jim. We thought
Here we are.
We got sports wrap
in person.
We need to
with
get this
Darnay
on
Tripp.
Roku at 9
I
I
know.
like it. Darnay Tripp, NBC7. Darnay, always great to see you. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll do it again next
you do
week.
the same. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is Darnay Tripp. On the other side, let's give away some tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. We continue talking about tonight, counting you down to San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton, the latest on the Padres managerial search as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, the latest on the Padres managerial search. Plus, we're going to give away tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. We're outside Viejas Arena getting you ready for San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Baseball news will start there. 3 new managers in baseball today. The Guardians hired former catcher Stephen Voigt. The Mets hired Carlos Mendoza, a perceived finalist for the Padres job. And the Cubs made the shocker of the day, firing David Ross and hiring Craig Counsell to one of the largest managerial contracts in baseball history. Last night, San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinals 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs home opener versus Cal State Fullerton, 7:30 tip-off. Our pregame coverage starts at 6 officially right here on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, so a couple of things. We've got our first fans lined up here. We have Mario. Shout out Mario,
yes,
who listens to Jon and Jim on the iHeartRadio app. He is ready. He's got a San Diego State kind of cutoff jersey T-shirt. Is that fair?
It's a jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an authentic jersey, but he's ready. He's got a San Diego State shirt on. He's here. Gates are going to open, I think it's 6 p.m. tonight. 7:40, by the way, is the tip-off tonight. Cal State Fullerton at San Diego State. Banners will go up before the game. Get into your seats in that 7:15 range. I think it's going to happen closer to 7:30. But be ready. This place is going to be electric. We've got fans, again, beginning to line up 3 hours out. San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. Jim, a couple of texts are coming in completely roasting you.
Why?
One of which, I love this. 619 says, it is literally amazing that Jim can, every day without flaw, say something that makes himself sound uneducated and ignorant, because you're basically saying, like, who cares about farmers? And then someone else at 760, Jim, California does over $23 billion in agriculture.
It's great. Still stupid.
And they said, that being said, I agree with you. Switch the clocks. Switching the clocks suck.
Okay, I might have been wrong on the whole farming aspect of this whole thing. My bad. I still stand by my point.
There goes our farmer listenership.
I stand by my point. Daylight savings time with sun setting at 4:45 is stupid.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think most people agree with that.
I think most people do agree with that.
Yeah.
I hope most people agree with that. Well, I know one person.
Farmers.
I know one person who doesn't agree with it. I think she is the only person I've ever met who actually loves when it gets dark at 4:30.
Who?
Marty.
And why is that again?
I don't know. But she loves it. I remember working with her. It was like,
is that why she was off today? She loves it so much she's just basking in the entire day.
She's like, I gotta plan my whole day around the sun setting at 4:45. I gotta be ready to see the sunset at that exact time. I don't know, man. Whatever. Can this be it? Can we vote for this thing to stop?
No, Brent
We already
said we
did.
did. We already did.
Then why is this still happening?
No clue.
And nobody really knows.
Nobody-
All right, we've got
nobody
these
knows.
Rady Children's Invitational tickets we'll give away at some point in the next 15 minutes. So the latest from Kevin Acee today
Yeah.
was a little interesting in his article about them being down to 4 candidates, considering it's really 3.
Now it's 3. Yeah.
Because Carlos Mendoza has been hired. But he wrote in here that sources throughout the process have indicated that Mike Schilt is the favorite. So now that's not like one, like sources. And this isn't Schilt and Flaherty are the front runners. This is Schilt is the favorite. He went on to say there's been praise for all 4 candidates.
Okay.
Whatever that means. But again, multiple sources throughout the process have said that Mike Schilt is the favorite here. He goes on to say that, Preller makes some interesting decisions. Andy Green over Ron Gardenhire 8 years ago.
Wow.
Jace Tingler over Ron Washington 4 years ago. Melvin, a surprise, like Darnay just said a couple of minutes ago. So, yeah, maybe it seems like a foregone conclusion, but then again, who's choosing Andy Green over Ron Gardenhire a decade ago? Who's choosing Jace Tingler over Ron Washington? So who knows based on his track record?
I think if he goes the Mike Schilt route, it would be not a surprising move from AJ, but it would be, I think, the safest of the moves, right?
Probably. Yeah, I agree.
I think
former manager.
I think Schilt is the safest because he's a former manager, been the postseason 3 straight times when he was manager. He's won manager of the year. He goes Flaherty. To me, that's just him saying, F it, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to get my perceived yes man in here. And if I go down, it's because I did it my way.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes Benji Gill, I view it as he sees this guy and he just blew him out of the water in his interview process, and that Benji Gill, he wants to give a chance to because he thinks that what Benji Gill brings to the table is intriguing and it could work.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest win for me on if he hires from outside is that he hired from outside.
Yeah,
like he was willing to do it. To me, that alone is a bit of a win if he's willing to do that, and I'll believe it when we see it. Now, he did it with Melvin; it didn't work out. These other guys, I don't know what his relationship was like with Andy Green. I have no idea.
What relationship?
AJ Preller's.
Oh, well,
before he got here.
I don't know.
Obviously, he had a relationship with Jace Tingler.
Oh,
friendship.
Best buddies. Not anymore.
And not anymore, obviously, because he fired him.
Yeah.
And then the Melvin thing again. Who knows if Melvin comes, if he even knew who AJ Preller was?
Probably not.
So again, are you going to end up with a Craig Counsell like? The answer is no, and we know that. And are you going to end up with someone like Ryan Flaherty or Mike Schilt? Probably. And the world's going to keep spinning, and the Padres are still going to have to win games regardless of who manages their team. And what are we waiting on? I don't really necessarily know, to your point, but I would imagine that it's coming. Any day now, you're going to get an official announcement from the Padres.
It's the ultimate, okay.
Right.
It really is. It feels like, and Darnay said it, I know a lot of fans feel the same way, there's not much juice behind this managerial search. It's kind of like, okay, can we get this over with already? Mm-hmm. Like, can you just hire somebody? Because we know probably whoever you hire is probably going to be the wrong hire, and it's going to blow up in 2 years anyway.
Right.
Like, can you just get this over with now? There's no, doesn't feel like there's no special candidate out there. There's no Bob Melvin 2.0,
right?
That type of excitement move. Just get it over with, because eventually it's going to end up failing. That's what the perception is, and more importantly, what are you going to do with this roster? You have 3 fifth-year rotation to fill. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Juan Soto. You got to fill out bullpen pieces. You need a first baseman. You need another catcher. You probably need another center fielder. You need some bench help. Just get the manager hire over with. We know what you're going to do. Just get it over with.
Other than that, though, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, I was the play. There's a very misleading headline today, and I understand it. It's a factual headline that does not mean what you think it would mean.
Yeah.
The fact that the Padres have extended qualifying offers to Josh Hader and Blake Snell does not mean they're anywhere closer to keeping either Josh Hader or Blake Snell. The reason you do this is that when these pitchers leave, you get an additional compensation pick in the draft after the 4th round, which is of value. But Josh Hader's not coming on a 1-year, $20 million deal. Blake Snell's not coming on a 1-year, $20 million deal.
Nope.
The Padres remain on the outside to retain either of those two pitchers for 2024. So qualifying offers have been extended, as they should be. They should benefit from that when it comes to drafting players this upcoming June. But are they any closer to keeping Blake Snell or Josh Hader? No, not on everything we're reading, not knowing that the payroll is coming down. There's no reason to believe that the Padres are going to win out on either Snell or Hader this offseason.
Do you want to know the finalist for NL Cy Young Award this year?
Blake Snell.
Yes.
Is one of them.
Yes. He's going to win it, but do you know who the other two are?
Justin Steele.
The guy from the Braves.
Who from the Braves?
Nobody from the Braves.
Diamondbacks.
Zach Gallen.
Yep.
And Logan Webb of the Giants.
He had a really good year.
Very good year. I think he led the league in innings pitched.
So Blake Snell's won that.
He's won.
That's crazy.
It's easy. Yeah.
But Blake Snell's going to win that.
Yeah. The MVP award this year, Ronald Acuna is going to win that.
No doubt.
You got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman also there.
Mm-hmm.
And then your AL Most Valuable Player award, Shohei Ohtani is going to win that. But also Corey Seager and Marcus Semien are nominated top 3. Interesting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
By the way, Bob Nightingale reporting within the last 24 hours that the Padres are a suitor for Shohei Ohtani.
Okay, real quick. Bob, bro, stop. The last couple of days, he's been putting out some just wild stuff. We talked
trading what's this, Tatis?
And Bogarts.
Right, but they both have no trade clauses.
We talked about this last night on the wrap-up show. They're not going to trade Bogarts, and they're not trading Tatis. One, who the hell is going to take Xander Bogaerts' contract? Nobody. And they both have no trade clauses. It's stupid. It doesn't, we said it last night. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm kind of like, whatever Bob Nightingale says, you just have to take that thing for the biggest grain of salt.
Not accurate.
The biggest grain of salt ever.
So Bob Nightingale has the Padres as one of 7 suitors for Ohtani.
Yeah,
Mark
right.
Feinsand, MLB.com, has the Padres as one of 8 suitors for Shohei Ohtani. ESPN.com did not have the Padres as one of the 10 favorites to land Shohei Ohtani. Jim says it's not happening. But pushes are underway because free agency is underway as of, I think, 2:00 this afternoon Pacific. Free agency is underway. What if we get that announcement later today before the manager? Hey, Padres have come to terms with Shohei Ohtani 2 hours after free agency opened up.
$700 million.
1-year deal. Flyer deal.
1 year for $150 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Just puts all the chips in the table.
Yeah, I'm not believing the Ohtani anything. I'm just not.
I'm not. I am much more concerned about the edges of this roster, the depth of this roster, obviously the rotation of this roster. Yeah, of course. Would you love to have Shohei Ohtani on your roster? Sure. But we've seen what happens when you have just one superstar or a couple superstars in no depth on the team. The San Diego Padres 2023, the LA Angels of the last 5 years, you need to have depth. And to me, that's where the problems are with this team. And signing Shohei Ohtani doesn't fix your problems at all.
It kind of does. I mean, it kind of does. You're talking about a top 5 hitter. Who knows what his pitching is going to look like in the future? But I mean, you're signing a top 5 hitter in baseball to add to your other core. I mean, I think signing Shohei Ohtani definitely has value. I don't know what value. I don't know what impact. But I mean, I think it's a pretty significant. Whoever lands him has gotten a lot better.
He would come here and all of a sudden hit 240 with 23 home runs and 83 RBIs.
Well, that's the second best year for an offensive player, position player for the Padres.
But going from his type of standards, which is around 300, 1,000 OPS, 40 plus home runs, 100 plus RBIs, he would come here and he would suck.
Maybe, but I don't care. You might have to round out a roster. I don't care. I'd rather go sign Shohei Ohtani and roster be damned. Forget filling out the roster, even though that's the right thing to do. Yeah. It's like when you have a chance to date 2 different. It's like you don't necessarily be practical. Sometimes you just
date 2 different people.
Well, it's like you're choosing between 2, and you're not always practical when you're choosing. Like if you're choosing between Shohei Ohtani and rounding out a roster, I'm taking Ohtani, and so are all Padres fans listening to my voice. 99.9% of them are taking Ohtani out of rounding out a roster.
Okay,
99.9%.
Okay,
agree.
Does that roster win though?
It could. I don't know. I don't know. We'll never know because they're not going to sign him.
Yeah, no.
On the other side, we're giving away tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational coming up later this November, plus the latest here outside Viejas Arena. We're getting you ready for San Diego State's opener, coming off that national championship game appearance earlier this year in Houston. Coleman's going to join us from Aztec Link at 5 p.m. as well. We'll talk about this brand new collectible item they have, Butler at thebuzzer.com. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, everyone knows that San Diego is the most expensive city in America. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. And with the year almost over, you might need cash for the holidays, right? Or you want to be credit card debt free for the new year. Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help you turn that equity into cash. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off your credit cards, pay off personal loans. Maybe you want to do a home improvement project like adding solar panels. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. You can get the money super fast. Get the holiday cash you need. Pay off those credit cards before the new year. Get yourself on solid financial footing before the year ends by calling Loan Pronto now. 619-207-4336. Write this number down. 619-207-4336 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1617781, subject to lender approval. All right, be listening in about 5 minutes. We're giving away these tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational coming up at Lion Tree Arena. Be listening for that coming up in just a few minutes. 5 p.m., Mike Coleman, Aztec Link. More on that collective benefiting San Diego State student-athletes. More on Butler at the buzzer we told you about with Lamont in studio.
We have it in front here.
We do, right here.
No, it isn't.
No, it's right here.
Oh, it's right there.
It's
okay.
right here.
It's there. So we have what you would be getting from butleratthebuzzer.com. In front of our set here, in front of Viejas Arena. So if you're wondering,
come up to us when you get here tonight.
What it would look like if you purchase one of these collectible items, it's literally right here.
So come up to us when you get here. I think there's a QR code as well. You can scan that. You can check it out. This one-of-a-kind piece. We'll tell you more about it coming up at 5 p.m. Again, we've got these Rady Children's Invitational tickets we're going to give away as well. We're less than 3 hours out to Jim's, I don't know. To Jim's upsetness. He's sad because the sun's going down, but we're less than 3 hours out.
Yes, we are.
That wasn't the word I was looking for.
Upsetness?
But I don't know. I sound like you right now, so I'm spending way too much time with you.
Why are you looking at the sun?
To see if it's going down.
Okay, it's down, John.
And no, it's not down.
It's pretty much down.
It's not down. It's light out.
Okay.
But it's going down.
It's going down.
So we're less than 3 hours out. San Diego State tonight is going to likely be without Darion Trammell, who played that huge role for the Aztecs in the NCAA tournament. Now, we thought that they would be playing like a 4-guard lineup if they had Darion Trammell to team with Jaden Ledee, who had that great second half as well. Elijah Saunders, sophomore forward, started the exhibition game last Monday. I would expect if Trammell was out, that would be the case again here tonight for Brian Dutcher. But this is completely new look. I mean, Bradley gone, Mensah gone, Aguacarope gone, Adam Seiko, who shot like 50% from three, no longer here. Keyshawn Johnson at the University of Arizona. Yeah, you got a lot of pieces back. I mean, Lamont and Jaden are huge pieces. Darion as well, Micah Parrish. But, I mean, you've had wholesale changes on this team since last year's championship game.
You mentioned Adam Seiko, and you kind of Adam Seiko, one of the best three-point shooters in school history.
Right.
The winningest player in school history.
That's right. Mountain West history.
Huge loss there. Huge losses with Arope and Mensah, Bradley. This is a different team while the vibe still feels the same because you're returning a lot of players. You're returning Micah and Darion and Lamont, Jaden, Ledee, right? It still feels like it's a completely different roster when you really look at it. When you really look at this roster, it's different. It's really different.
My big question tonight is how do you put your emotions aside after watching a banner go into the rafters that has a Final Four logo on it 7 minutes before tip-off at 7:33 and then be ready to go at 7:40? You got just minutes to take yourself from this state of disbelief, look at this Final Four banner going into the rafters in front of 12,400 fans, to getting ready to take on an opponent that last year won 21 games. So here, do they hit stride immediately, or are they slow out of the gates? Last year against Cal State Fullerton, they led by 7 at the half before winning 80-57.
No, I was thinking about that today, and you realize, 4/5 of the starting rotation, they were in the national championship game last year in front of how many thousands of people at the RG whatever dome in Houston? NRG Stadium. What, 60,000 plus?
No, over 70.
70,000 plus? I'm not saying that this is nothing, but the pressure of a Final Four game and the pressure of a national championship game, and they performed pretty well in both up until the last 5 minutes of the national championship game.
Right.
I'm not saying this is going to be nothing to those guys, but they've been on the biggest of biggest stages. So tonight, yes, the emotion will be there, but this is not something that these players haven't dealt with before as far as the crowd and the emotions going into a game, because they were just in the national championship.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. But I will say this now, and every time you've got a quote unquote, lesser opponent, like a low major or a mid major playing a higher major like San Diego State, you're always taking your best shot. Like for Cal State Fullerton in any year, this kind of makes your season if you can beat San Diego State at Viejas Arena. But now this is your Super Bowl. This is the biggest environment, the best atmosphere they're going to be playing in all year long. And of course, this doesn't make or break their season, but you'll tell people for a long time if you ruin San Diego State's banner-raising night. I go back to when they were 26-0, the Aztecs in 2020, played UNLV, hoisted banners as regular season champions, lost that night to the Rebels on their way to going 30-2 during the pandemic. So, like, you never know is my point, and Fullerton is going to take as big of a swing as they possibly can here tonight against the Aztecs.
Of course they are.
Bigger than normal. This isn't playing some guarantee at Penn State, which is like some random. If Cal State Fullerton was playing Penn State tonight, I don't know if there's the same level of motivation to try to beat a team that was in the national championship game.
Probably not.
Well, I know there's not.
So, yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, Cal State Fullerton is going to give their best shot tonight. So Aztecs are going to have to be ready for it. That this is not going to be some walkover game. This is not playing like whoever, right?
This isn't St. Catherine,
yeah,
D1.
Yeah. Cal State Fullerton is a program that has, NCAA tournament aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're going to get a good test tonight for sure.
And if they lose, it's on Jim because he hasn't been here since 2 years ago. All right, caller 5 to 844-570-1360. You've got a pair of tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational, tickets for the championship Friday. Winner will get to see the championship game and the consolation game. 844-570-1360. Caller 5, they're yours. The Rady Children's Invitational is a men's college basketball tournament in San Diego, the first ever invitational. Thanksgiving this year, Lion Tree Arena, on the UC San Diego campus with elite college basketball programs committed to the Invitational through 2024. This holiday tournament promises an unforgettable weekend of basketball, beaches, the best San Diego has to offer. The 2023 field includes the Iowa Hawkeyes, the USC Trojans, Seton Hall, and the Oklahoma Sooners. Tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. That is RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. Again, caller 5, they're yours, 844-570-1360. We are counting you down to tip-off between San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. We'll be joined by Mike Coleman from Aztec Link. On the other side, we'll talk more about this Butler at the Buzzer initiative benefiting San Diego State student-athletes. We're getting you ready for the Aztecs tonight as well. Hour 3, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. We'll start with baseball news of the day. 3 new managers hired in baseball, with the Mets hiring Carlos Mendoza, Guardians hiring Stephen Voigt, and the Cubs making a stunner. They're firing their manager, former manager David Ross, and hiring Craig Counsell. Last night, San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinals 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs home opener. It's banner night at Viejas Arena versus Cal State Fullerton. 7:30 tip, most likely going to be 7:40 tip with the banner raising. Our official pregame starts at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is all yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We are leading you up to tip-off here tonight at Viejas Arena. San Diego State's season opener, highly anticipated, coming off an appearance in the national championship game, and a perfect segue to our next guest. Mike Coleman has been with us before. He's with Aztec Link, which is a collective centered around San Diego State student-athletes. He does volunteer work for Aztec Link. He's the director of operations. We've talked to J.R. Tolver, of course, a lot over the last year. We had Lamont Butler in studio on Friday. Mike, we're going to talk about this brand new collectible and initiative. But first of all, thanks for joining us here today.
Appreciate the time. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So first and foremost here, butleratthebuzzer.com is a really cool, unique way for Aztec fans to support the collective at Aztec Link, but also to take home a piece of history. I mean, we've heard from so many people like, I was here when the shot went in. And now you've got this amazing piece. And for our listeners, if you this is the first time you're hearing about it, go to butleratthebuzzer.com. Take a look at this frame print that's going to be numbered, signed, and authenticated, featuring the autograph of Lamont Butler hitting that iconic shot against FAU. You can purchase them while they last. These are limited edition, one run. That's it. Available for the holidays at butleratthebuzzer.com. So tell us about this piece and how the sales process here early on has been going with these.
Yeah. The sales process has gone really well, and appreciate you getting the word out to everyone on that. And I think you hit a really good point. Is everybody, whether you're a San Diego State fan, if you're just a sports fan, if you're just somebody that's proud of San Diego, they remember where they were when that shot went down. And I think that's really the thing that this collectible allows you to do. You'll have this up on your wall, you'll walk by and you'll see it, and you'll bring back memories. And I had an example where a friend of mine went to Houston with us, and he was so emotional after the win. And I was talking to him about this collectible, and he's kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. And I reminded him of how emotional he was, and I'm like, wouldn't that have been something just great to see every day? And before we were done with the conversation, he's like, I bought the collectible.
Perfect.
So
so the reaction to this, what's it been like as far as releasing this over the last couple of days here? What's been the reaction?
Yeah, it's been really positive. A lot of people that have reached out. We've seen the orders coming through, but just a lot of kind of people saying, man, this is a great opportunity to own a piece of San Diego State history. And so yeah, it's been really positive reaction, and seeing Lamont's reaction when we showed it to him was really, really cool.
All right, so butleratthebuzzer.com. You can own a piece of really Aztec history. It's a partnership between Aztec Link and Lamont Butler. And again, in terms of who this is benefiting, you're getting this amazing keepsake you could have in your home for generations and on walls for decades, literally. And you're not just getting this framed, signed, authenticated print. You're also benefiting San Diego State student athletes, whether it's Lamont Butler, whether it's the student athletes as a part of the Aztec Link collective. So tell us about the work that Aztec Link is doing with San Diego State student athletes and how this is benefiting them specifically.
Yeah, I think this is a real prime example of how NIL can be used to really benefit, Lamont, to benefit all the other student athletes, as this allows the collective to have money that comes in that we can then work other deals like this with local businesses. That's really the next thing that we're focused on, is how do we get local, small, medium-sized business involved that want the student athletes to be promoting their brand or their product or their business. And this really gets the collective in a position where we can go out and do those kind of engagements with local business. That's really kind of the next step. But we have a lot of other ideas like this that we can leverage the collective and really benefit the student athletes. And that's at the end of the day, what we're trying to do. And I think the thing that for me getting involved in this, talking to the student athletes and kind of understanding where they're coming from and the benefits that they're seeing out of working with Aztec Link, I think that's by far, I've been so pleasantly surprised at the reaction that we've gotten from the student athletes and the work that we're doing.
So the timing of this all is great for a holiday gift. If people are wondering and maybe worried if they're going to if they want to purchase this for a family member or a diehard Aztec fan and they want to give that to that person for Christmas, is it going to be made sure that that is delivered and authenticated and everything before Christmas time?
Yeah, so that question's come up quite a bit. And again, we're going to have a signing event in the next couple of weeks. Anybody that's purchased, we'll notify them where the signing event is going to be. You can actually be there when Lamont's signing, the prints. Then we'll go through the process of getting them, framed, matted. But our goal is to deliver all of these before Christmas. So again, the key is get your orders in, because that is going to drive kind of when we're done selling, and then we transition to the logistics of getting these completed and out to the fans that are purchasing them. And the other thing too is we will have a local San Diego location to pick up, and then we also have options on the website to have them shipped to the customers.
To Jim's point, like, this is the amazing San Diego sports fan gift. You don't have to be a San Diego Stater, right? I mean, everyone remembers, to your point, San Diegans, sports fans in the city remember where they were when Lamont Butler hit this shot. And again, you have to see this item. If you're hearing our voices right now, you have to at least write down. If you're driving, don't do it. But just remember butler@thebuzzer.com and make sure to get there, because, again, there's a limited number of these. And if you don't get them, you're not going to be included. There's one run. There's one signing event. Once Lamont has signed these, it is over and done with. So that's something to consider as well. If you want it, you should grab it, again, for the holidays. And again, you're benefiting Lamont Butler. You're benefiting San Diego State student athletes through Aztec Link. Now, Mike, you guys are, about a year in with the collective at Aztec Link?
Yeah, we formed about July of last year, and really, I would say, kind of in the spring of this year, we really started to build this up and get kind of the infrastructure. I may have mentioned the last time I was on. We spent a little bit of time kind of developing the foundation of Aztec Link, because we really wanted to make sure that we did that work now before we really started to scale, because we didn't want to have to go back and kind of recreate the wheel. So we now have a clear actions for the next, both 30, 60, 90 days, but really we have a 3-year plan to be able to build this collective up, to be able to support all of the programs within the athletic department.
All right, Mike Coleman, again, with Aztec Link with us here, doing volunteer work, all the work, by the way, with Aztec Link. I mean, all this money is going right back to the student athletes. These are volunteers like J.R. Tolver, like Mike, who's their director of operations. If you're coming out tonight, let's be clear here. You want to see this? You want to see this frame collectible? You can swing by our location. We're right in front of Viejas Arena. You've got, I think, a QR code here as well. You got a couple of flyers. If people are looking for more information, if they want to see it, they can do so right here on their way in, down those primary steps, right into Viejas Arena. We're going to be here from now until tip-off, so make sure to swing by, because you can see it firsthand. It really is an incredible, incredible piece.
It is, and I think when you see it, it'll bring back all the memories of where you were on April 1st.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mike Coleman, Aztec Link. Mike, it is our pleasure, again, for our listeners. Make sure to check this out, because, again, this is the holiday gift. Once it's gone, it's gone. Butler@thebuzzer.com. Check it out. Butler@thebuzzer.com. Mike, great to see you. Thanks for swinging by. You're going to the game, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, go Aztecs.
Thank you.
Okay, so by the way, coming up in 20 minutes, we haven't even mentioned it. San Diego State football, disappointing loss Saturday night to Utah State. We'll have your Aztec Rewind coming up at 5:30. Of course, Jim's Back Page coming up later this hour as well. We've been talking throughout the course of the day about a number of different topics, whether it's the Padres and their managerial search, or it's San Diego State opening its season tonight against Cal State Fullerton. We've got so much news today around baseball. 3 managers hired today on this Monday. There's still 4 vacancies. The Padres are believed to be down to 3 candidates. We'll see. Ryan Flaherty, Mike Schilt, Benji Gill. But hires have been occurring. Craig Counsell is a huge story, a little bit like the Bob Melvin story a couple of years ago, maybe even bigger, with Counsell going from Milwaukee to Chicago. And now we're waiting on the Padres and their decision. But to our collective point, to what Darnay Tripp said earlier from NBC7, yes, we're all waiting on it. But the truth is we're waiting on so much more that's going to be even more impactful for the Padres this offseason.
In particular, Juan Soto.
Yeah, he's important.
And the rotation. The depth of this team, what are they going to do with potential money issues? Like, are they going to go out and they're going to make any trades and besides maybe potentially Juan Soto? So, yeah, the manager to me is kind of the first domino that needs to fall. But at the same time, the manager isn't like the end all be all because we kind of know where they're going to go. We know that they're going to go down a road that won't be that inspiring. It's kind of an AJ Preller special. And it's like, okay, well, what do you do with the roster? More importantly, what do you do with the roster?
I hate to say it, though. There's like part of me that is a bit jealous in the bold decision the Cubs made today. It's unconventional. I mean, you're firing your manager who you said was going to be back, and they've done it twice in a decade. And when they did it 10 years ago and got rid of Renteria, they won a World Series, and they hadn't done it for 100 years, essentially, and that's the business. It's about winning. They saw an opportunity to upgrade, and they said, everything else be damned. Yeah. We've got the resources to upgrade at the position, and we're going to do it. And it felt like the Padres did that a couple of years ago with Bob Melvin, and now it's like, you know what? We tried it. It didn't fully work. We're going to go back to what we did before. And I look at it from the other side, and I'm like, you know what? I respect the Cubs' decision to do what they did. Nobody wants to be in David Ross's shoes, but this is professional sports with huge salaries, very public positions. Yeah. And to some extent, I'm kind of envious of their ability to pull something like that off.
Well, like you just mentioned, they did this 2 years ago, and it failed. And why did it fail? AJ Preller is a part of that reason, a big part of that reason. So do you want them to go out and try that again when we know that's probably going to fail? Like, whoever they hire, does anybody have any confidence that that manager is going to be here for the long haul?
No.
So just go out, get your guy instead of trying to make a splashy hire. And if you guys lose, you're both going down. And it's not this like, oh my gosh, they had to get rid of Ryan Flaherty. I think if they fired AJ Preller and they brought in a new GM, and then that GM decided to move on from Bob Melvin, I think it'd be like, they got rid of Bob.
Right.
That's how I kind of feel now. It's like, they got rid of Bob, even though AJ's still here.
Right.
But if AJ gets fired, the manager's getting fired as well. And if it's Ryan Flaherty, is that really going to be like, are we really going to cry over that spilled milk?
It's a very good point. I mean, I'm just like, for example, ESPN's piece by Jeff Passan today, kind of illustrating what I just said, was like, this is like fortune favors the bold stuff. Like, if you are trying to win at the highest level, I always go back to this with the Padres. It's like they've marketed themselves incredibly. If they're trying to sell tickets, congratulations. You've done it at an amazing clip.
Yeah, you've done it.
Do you have the ability to create revenue? Absolutely. But are you committed to winning at the exact highest level to bring a championship to the city of San Diego? At times it feels like they are, with Peter Seidler's spending prowess, with bringing in Bob Melvin. But I see a move like this with the Cubs. I'm like, how are we going to say, with the Padres losing all these rotation pieces, with their closer, potentially Juan Soto, having a new manager that isn't Bob Melvin and is a quote-unquote downgrade, how are we supposed to believe that heading into the year, the Padres are a legitimate World Series contender? Like, you know, to me, that's just a bridge too far. It's all possible. Arizona was in the World Series. We've seen crazy things happen in this sport over the last decade. I'm just saying that it doesn't feel as if they're putting everything possible into it, even though they've spent at such a high clip over the last year or two.
So Kevin Acee, just 8 minutes ago, reporting that the Padres, according to sources, are considering adding David Ross to their candidate pool.
Did I not text you that this afternoon?
You did.
I guarantee you're going to see that.
You did. Okay. Retread. Guy that just got fired for Craig Counsell. I don't know.
Right.
He also says multiple sources say Flaherty, who has long been a favorite of AJ Preller, should be considered a strong possibility to get the job. So,
but earlier today was Mike Schilt.
I know.
Was the strong possibility.
I know. But at the same time, Kevin says there's always the possibility of a twist. It's impossible to predict what Preller will do in these instances. He's made last-minute hires of Andy Green and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So if it's Ryan Flaherty, that to me is the worst look of it all. Could work out. Could be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you're hiring the youngest manager in baseball, a guy that's never managed before in his life, and for a team that has aspirations to win now, also a clubhouse that is kind of tough to handle. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that, to Brent's point, listen, were the Cubs in position where they're trying to win World Series for most of his tenure? No. Was he under 500 as a manager? Yes. And that's reasonable and explainable, a little bit like Andy Green's tenure as the Padres skipper. But, like, again, are you enamored with the idea of bringing in a guy that in 4 years with the Cubs never went to the postseason, was 22 games under 500, and won one more game than the Padres last year? They won one more game, and they completely collapsed down the back stretch. Now, the Cubs had a nice year. I don't even think they were expected to win 83 games, but it was seen as very disappointing the way their season ended. So, again, for me, it's like you got to twist my arm a little bit. You make that hire, I'm like, okay, we're familiar with him. Yeah, he played briefly with the Padres. He's a well-respected former player that has managed in the big leagues.
Yeah.
But, again, it's not the coup like the Cubs made today in hiring Craig Counsell for me.
I'm kind of like, just get it over with, dude. Just hire somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Rip the Band-Aid.
Like, as Kevin says there, those sources are saying that's probably Ryan Flaherty, like the leaning towards Ryan Flaherty.
So
what are we doing? Like, why are we going out and putting on this facade of, hey, we went under every rock and we interviewed everybody we possibly could for it to go back to Ryan Flaherty? Like, you really needed to do that?
But just listen to these sentences, Jim. Sources have indicated throughout the process that Schilt is the favorite.
What?
Yeah. And then the next sentence, multiple sources say Flaherty, who has long been a favorite of Padres president of baseball operations, A.J. Preller, should be considered a strong possibility to get the job.
Okay.
It's like,
huh?
They're a little bit, I'm not saying they're contradictory, but it's basically saying A.J. Preller's a wild card. And
I figured it out. Hire them all.
Yeah. Oh, you have co-managers.
Just hire them all.
Co-managers.
Yeah.
Flaherty and Schilt.
Yeah. It was weird today. Before the Counsell news dropped, I don't know if you saw Ken Rosenthal's tweet.
Yeah.
It said Craig Counsell's going to a team with an existing manager.
And then people are like, oh, he's coming to the Padres. I'm like, they don't have a manager.
But people thought that Ken misspelled the word, and they said, Ken, don't you mean exiting manager? And it was no. It was existing manager because David Ross was still technically the manager at the time.
Interesting, yeah.
So just hire Flaherty. He's already on the staff. Hire Schilt. Put Benji Gill in the.
Just bring all these guys together.
Yeah, just put it. It's just
David
like
Ross. You're on the coaching staff.
Yeah, it's AJ Preller's Avengers. Bringing all the Affinity Stones together for AJ Preller. Just bring them all together.
I don't know what it means, but I like it.
I know you don't.
It would be also if you're David Ross, you literally were fired today. And now you're like Padres gig. Like is that your mind immediately goes to, hey, Padres gig. I mean, it's a job.
It's a job.
And it pays well.
And if you are up for a managerial job in baseball,
then you're likely
going to take it.
Yeah,
even with the S show that AJ Preller has made here in San Diego.
By the way, what did it take? I mean, we know what it took for the Cubs to do this, $40 million over 5 years. Did you see what Counsell was making in Milwaukee?
No.
Jeff Passan said 3.5. He's going from 3.5 million per year to 8 million per year by going from the Brewers to the Cubs. So the way they got him was with money. To everyone's point about the Padres, not that the managerial gig is where they're spending all their money, but they spent $12 million on Melvin, right? 3 years, $12 million, $4 per year. People don't expect them to go over that number. Most expect that number to go well down, right? $1.5 million, $2.5 million. So what the Cubs pulled off today in spending all that money, the Padres aren't even considering that. They're not going to spend $40 million on a manager. They're going to spend less than $12 million on their next manager.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to pay that manager more than $1.5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if everybody wants Benji Gill, which I feel like that is,
then he better take $1.44 million or whatever it pays. Right?
What I was going to say is if everybody wants Benji Gill, fan base or whatever, of the managers that are being considered here, he's going like Flaherty. Like
you're saying if everyone wants Gill, he's not going Gill.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
we don't get what we want.
No,
you can't have nice things.
We never do in this town.
Right.
It's the San Diego sports scene.
Right.
We never get what we want, unfortunately, except for San Diego State in the national championship game.
We did have that. We did have that.
Yeah,
we do have tonight. Banner raising night against Cal State Fullerton. Jim Russell's first appearance inside Viejas since 2 seasons ago.
Guys, the Stones said you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. So maybe we'll get what we need.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
Potentially.
Yeah, I like that.
But you make it seem like I've never been to an Aztec game before, John.
Well, okay, here's what you need to have you been to one?
Yes, I have.
I know.
I've been to a lot.
I know. I'm kidding. I know, but it's just a little tricky because you weren't here last year. They have this program setting season.
Yeah, I know.
That ends in a national championship game, and now you're here.
you think Dutch on the whiteboard in the locker room's like, look, Jim Russell's in the building tonight, so
you got to play even better.
We have to play even better because
He's a jinx.
That bad vibe is already in the building. So
I think if they're down at half, you're going to get an usher that shows up at your seat to escort you out of the building.
It's like, sir, the Aztecs are trailing by 2 points. You need to leave the premises, please.
By the way, you know me tonight.
I know.
And this was like last year against Fullerton. Fullerton played really well for at least 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it's 2-0.
Like if Fullerton goes up like 6-2 in this game, I'm gonna be like, oh, there goes the season.
Everything's like Jim watching the
But
Niners.
you know how this is. Like the banners go up and there's the nervous energy and everyone's standing and they're treating this thing like it's their Super Bowl, and you just need to find a way to win this game. If it takes 4 minutes, if it takes 8 minutes, if it takes 12 minutes, so be it.
You always give me crap when I'm watching the Niners play and they go down 7-0. You're like,
no, you're an idiot.
I'm like, oh, the season's over.
The Niners will get they'll have like a first down run for like 3 yards, like should have been 4. Like it sucks.
I never say that.
You like freak out about
no,
every
I
play.
don't. Maybe
you
I do.
freak out about it.
Maybe I do. But
I think
that's the life of a sports fan.
I know it is,
and I get it. Tonight, the Aztecs go down 2-0. John's gonna be sitting like, oh man,
here we go.
There we go again.
Yeah,
even though it just went to the national championship game. Here we go.
Even though the Aztecs have won like 91% of their home games over the last 15 years.
Right.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go again.
All right, fans are beginning to make their way outside Viejas Arena. I believe gates open at 6 p.m. here tonight. Banners are going up. The tip time will be 7:40 tonight. San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. Get into your seats early. You'll want to be there for the banners going up. You're getting a Final Four banner, right, that's going up. You're getting a Mountain West regular season tournament banner. You're getting a Mountain West tournament banner.
Yeah.
You're getting a banner that updates the years that San Diego State has been to the NCAA tournament as well. So all told, 4 banners.
4.
That's a lot of banners.
Yeah, it is.
I saw actually, I think Keyshawn Johnson, now with Arizona, on Instagram today, they sent him like the care package with his ring. And he's wearing all of his San Diego State rings, Jim. He needs like more fingers because he's got multiple from this year.
I know.
He's got multiple from previous seasons.
I know.
I mean, all these winning years, all these NCAA tournament teams, these guys that have been here, the Lamont Butlers, those that have been here for 2, 3, 4 seasons. I mean, they're just, you can't have more rings than San Diego State. Is that Lamont? Yeah, he's got, or excuse me, that's Keyshawn Johnson. He's wearing like 6 rings.
Yeah.
Look at this. He's putting multiple on one finger.
I know. All those Mountain West championships, Mountain West tournament championships. This program is a program of winning. That's the culture. They win. So I'm praying they win tonight because it's going to be hell for me tomorrow if they lose.
Can we get Jonathan Rifkin up here for 5 minutes on the other side? Because he's calling the game for Fullerton tonight.
Yes.
We'll learn a little bit more about the Titans, plus your Aztec Rewind. San Diego State football off a disappointing overtime loss to Utah State this past weekend. Homecoming at Snapdragon Stadium, plus Jim's back page. We're here until 6. Then our official pregame coverage will begin. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. There we go. Oh, we do. It's a little shot. All right, Aztec fans, San Diego sports fans, we've got the perfect holiday gift for you. We've been telling you about this amazing collectible commemorating the biggest moment in San Diego sports history, Lamont Butler's epic buzzer beater in the Final Four this past April. You still get chills just thinking about it. I remember sitting there courtside. It was an incredible moment. You need to see it for yourself. Write this down or go there right now, butleratthebuzzer.com. Again, butleratthebuzzer.com. This is your opportunity to relive this historic moment with this limited edition collectible benefiting Lamont Butler's NIL efforts and the Aztec Link Collective as well that benefits all San Diego State student athletes. Each print is signed by Lamont Butler, authenticated and numbered, and there are just a few dozen really of these. I mean, a few dozen of these. If you want it, you got to get it before it is gone. Best of all, you're supporting San Diego State student athletes. Again, visit butleratthebuzzer.com to see these beautiful collectibles for yourself. Once they're gone, they're gone. Support San Diego State student athletes. It's the best holiday gift you can give this holiday season for San Diegans. Check it out at butleratthebuzzer.com. I love it. Brouhaha. Thanks, Brouhaha. You're the man. We're kind of outside right now, but thank you for support of the channel, your membership. Go Aztecs tonight. Hopefully Jim doesn't ruin the night. Guys, we appreciate your support. Appreciate the super chats. Please subscribe if you're here. Smash the like button for us. Brouhaha, you rock. Go Aztecs. Thanks, ma'am.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Today, 3 new managers hired in baseball. We'll start with the Mets, Carlos Mendoza. The Guardians, they got Stephen Voigt. And the Cubs, shocker, they fired their current manager David Ross, and hired Craig Counsell. Last night, San Diego Wave lost to OL Reign in the NWSL semifinals, 1-0. And tonight, the Aztecs open up their season. It's banner night versus Cal State Fullerton, 7:30 tip-off. Our pregame coverage, official pregame, starts at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with Code Sports, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
My man, what's going on? All right, Jon and Jim back with you. Shout out Sons of Montezuma, by the way, on site here, Viejas Arena. We have Jonathan Rifkin. We're going behind enemy lines, okay? Kind of.
Ish.
Kind of.
Frenemy lines.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Jonathan's been calling games for Fullerton.
Yes.
For the last couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were here last year.
I was.
What was a pretty good game for 25.
It was raining last year when we were out
I remember that. Good game last year. Aztecs led by 7 at the half. They ended up winning 80-57. So everyone here tonight is like, oh my gosh, banners going up, celebration, national championship game. But Fullerton, you're not playing a Division II program or an NIA, whatever.
NAIA.
Thank you.
Yep.
Program. You're playing a team that won 20 games last year.
Yep.
So what do Aztec fans need to know about Cal State Fullerton?
If you took anything away from last year's game, throw it out the window because it's you talk about San Diego State is a completely different team. I mean, Fullerton, they lost their best player to Alabama, Latrell Reitzel.
Yep.
They graduate Jalen Harris. They return Max Jones, the Division II transfer that apparently had an incredible Drew League year. And they're saying could average somewhere between 15 and 20 points a game this year for Cal State Fullerton. High average score, high efficiency score. So he's going to be the leader. He'll be number 2 tonight on the court. And then other than that, they're a lot bigger. They're a lot bigger than what you guys. So John Mikey Square is this Fairleigh Dickinson transfer. He didn't play last year against San Diego State because I think he had like a 5-game eligibility, like transition period or whatever. So he didn't come in until later in the season. But they nicknamed him the Junkyard Dog because he plays scrappy. He's really strong. And the sleeper is this freshman named DeLuna. His name is Kendrick DeLuna. He played for Bruce Bowen in high school. Bruce Bowen went to Cal State Fullerton. He's now a high school coach in Texas. DeLuna is a 4-star basketball player who chose Cal State Fullerton over Kansas State, Illinois, SMU, a bunch of like these traditionally pretty dominant programs in basketball. He's the highest recruit ever at Cal State Fullerton. He's not going to start tonight, as Dedrick Taylor told me, but he's going to get significant minutes. He's 6'10", and he's came up under Bruce Bowen. So we're excited to see what he's going to look like against a very strong and interior dominant San Diego State team.
So John, being the nervous Nelly that he is.
Yeah, you made me more nervous, I think.
What else do you think that it will be an issue tonight for San Diego State from Cal State Fullerton?
Yeah, they have a transfer from Alcorn State. That's a SWAC school, in case you guys are unfamiliar.
Oh, I know all the SWAC
State
schools.
Yeah. From Alabama, and he was an all-SWAC first-teamer. His name is DJ Bruton, and he's sort of a combo guard hybrid. He can defend a little bit, and he's a guy, I have no idea how he's going to look tonight, but in the exhibition game, the closed-door exhibition game that they had, this guy put up like 35 points, and he missed like 4 shots the entire game. So very, very good score, true score for this team.
Must be nice.
All right, so Jonathan Rifkin with us right now. Again, he's going to call the game for Fullerton. Of course, you can hear the Aztecs right here on San Diego Sports 760 with Ted Leitner on the call. In terms of what it would mean for Fullerton, right? I mean, this is kind of that. It's one thing to win a guarantee anywhere.
Sure.
Like there's a lot to be said for that when you're playing up, so to speak. But to be here on this night, I mean, it's got to be really meaningful to have even this opportunity.
I mean, you guys had Dedrick Taylor on, right?
Yeah.
The San Diego State championship game run began with Cal State Fullerton. Now, a lot of the players are no longer on this team, but the position that San Diego State was in last year is exactly where they begin this year. It's a different team, fine, but if we're putting it on paper and looking at the schedule, this is what happened. And so I think for Cal State Fullerton, number one, I think that you feel kind of good about yourself. Like, oh, it started, this team went to the championship, and we were the team that they started out. Obviously, you lose the game, but I do think there's a bit of pride in even playing that game. To be able to go toe-to-toe with a team that was in the national championship when it is supposed to be a bye game, when you're supposed to take your money and take your lumps and then hit the road for all intents and purposes, which is what a lot of these programs do when they come into places like San Diego State.
Yeah.
I think Fullerton is going to be playing up a little bit more than you would typically see in a game like this.
Is Fullerton considered a NCAA tournament team this year?
Yeah, they're probably going to be a top 3 team. And it's a one big league in the Big West. UC Irvine's retooled. They're really good. UCSB is there almost every year. You guys will see Long Beach State against San Diego State down the road. They have the Traore brothers who are absolutely fantastic. But Cal State Fullerton, I mean, Dedrick Taylor in his 10th season, he's brought this program to new heights, and I think there's an expectation that they are going to be not only competitive in the conference, but actually represent the conference at the tournament level year in and year out.
All right, so are you calling this game solo, or what's the deal?
I think I'm calling it solo.
You think?
The SID Josh Carter, who's fantastic, who you have dealt with, he might jump on with me. We're not so sure yet, so I'm prepared to do it solo, but I might have a color.
All right, man.
And I did
here's the deal. Yeah,
go. I was going to say for confirmation because I know a lot of people are unsure if Jim's actually going to be in the building. I did see his nameplate courtside when I was setting up. I saw Jim Russell. He's there.
If you need color,
Yeah,
you're not gonna
there might be a bit of a conflict of interest. I'm not going to lie.
Potentially.
yeah. I don't know much about Cal State Fullerton, unfortunately.
Do you know their most notable alum? Derek Togerson.
Oh,
Derek
right?
Togerson?
Derek Togerson went to Cal State Fullerton.
Wow. Okay.
He hates when I call him a notable alum.
Notable alum.
And I mostly do it every week.
I like that, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, listen, have a good call. Not too good of a call.
Yeah.
Okay. Like have a good call.
You're
but
saying
not
don't
too
let my
good
good
of a
luck
call.
rub off onto the
Have like
site.
an okay call.
Have an okay call.
But
I hope
like,
your
not-
call is
not the-
really good.
Yeah, not like the call where you call a game where the Cal State Fullerton beats San Diego State. Just not that good of a call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To be fair, for me at work, it's a lot easier if the Aztecs win. So when
Yes, for
I
Jim,
walk
too.
into the studio tomorrow,
You
my life
realize-
gets a lot easier if the Aztecs win.
For Jim too.
If they don't win this game,
It's
San
on
Diego
Jim.
State, like I'm never allowed to come back.
Yeah, because he wasn't here all year inside.
Oh, that's what
You
I've
know-
heard.
You know that.
Oh yeah.
Jonathan, thanks, man.
Thank
Good
you
seeing
guys.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks, bro.
absolutely.
All right, Brent, let's get to this. All right. It was so promising. It's our Aztec Rewind here on Jon and Jim. San Diego State led early, the Mark Redmond touchdown. They led in overtime by a touchdown. They eventually succumbed to Utah State on homecoming in double overtime, 32-24. Back-to-back defeats now for the Aztecs, who are 3-6. It does not get easier. They'll be in Fort Collins taking on Colorado State this weekend. Then they'll be in Northern California playing San Jose State. Then they finish at home against Fresno State. So the last couple of weeks, Nevada, 6-0 loss. This past week led in overtime, led early, but could not finish off Utah State. The Aztecs fall to 3-6, Jim, on the year.
Yeah. This is turning out to be a season that, you almost want to forget at times, because one game they look like the Nevada game was bad.
Yep.
But the defense was really good. The defense was really good that game against Utah State. Defense, 32 points in double overtime, but still it's like they could not get that one play in that game. And then in double overtime, it felt like both defenses were kind of like, what's happening here? Guys were wide open left and right. And then Jalen again makes another mistake to cost him the game, not cost him the game, but end the game. It's just not a fun year. It's not a fun year at all.
No, you're right. Nothing's gone their way. They started 2-0, and from that point on, they've only won one of their last 7 games.
And that was Hawaii.
For San Diego State, that was after a bye game against Hawaii. Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer, has you covered for all your game day needs, featuring organic farm fresh produce and meats, an amazing craft beer selection, plus a full deli with award-winning sandwiches, centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. Check them out at windmillfarmsmarket.com to see their weekly specials. And a reminder to shop local. Shop at Windmill Farms. All right, tonight inside, San Diego State men's basketball looking for a better result than what happened Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. We are less than 2 hours out. Tip-off just after 7:30 here tonight. The Aztecs and the Titans of Cal State Fullerton beginning the 2023-24 season. It's a crazy busy night across college basketball. If I scrolled on here, Jim, you'd freak out. Look at this. Look at this scroll of college basketball.
Do you want to go through every single game?
Yeah, let's go through all 300 games tonight.
Do it.
We should do that. All right, let's start with Fisk and Tennessee State.
Oh, I love that matchup.
There's just so much going on tonight. Not a lot of high-profile games. This is actually a pretty good game for what's going on around the country here tonight. But again, a lot of eyes of San Diegans will be on Viejas Arena tonight. And, of course, you can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're outside Viejas Arena. Come by, say hello. Our official pregame coverage will begin at 6 p.m. Tip-off just after 7:30 p.m. We'll take a timeout. Jim's back page is on the other side. Stay with us, Jon and Jim, on San Diego Sports 760. And on the other side, we're getting you ready for San Diego State basketball tonight at Viejas Arena, the season opener, highly anticipated, plus Jim's back page next. All right, so I'm not sure how to read this because we're about 2 hours out from San Diego State and Fullerton. Typically, we do Jim's back page in the final segment of Jon and Jim. And Jim was just like, are you sure you want to do it? Because we're right outside Viejas Arena. There's like dozens of people out here. They probably want to hear about the Aztecs. Is that your way of saying you haven't prepared anything?
Nope.
Or you're fearful to like talk about random things in front of Aztec fans?
I actually have prepared things. Look at John. I got four stories there.
4 stories. I think we.
But
no.
I mean, people want to hear about San Diego State.
I mean, they're not like.
Do they want to hear about Reese's peanut butter cups?
Probably.
Okay, screw it.
I think we should do it. We can do both.
Okay,
let's get
do
to
both.
The back page right now.
Let's do both. All right, John, speaking of Reese's.
Yeah.
They've come out with a new flavor. The Reese's Big Cup Caramel.
Ooh, I like caramel.
So they have caramel inside of the Reese's cup. Does that sound like something that you would want to eat?
Absolutely. And now how are you going to execute that? Is it like right in the middle with still the
There's a layer on the bottom.
Oh, it's a layer on the bottom. Yeah.
A layer at the bottom.
Really good.
You get the peanut butter and then, of course, the chocolate making the giant Reese's cup.
Who says no to that?
Probably not a lot of people. I think I would say yes to that for sure. Any type of Reese's cup I would eat.
Is it limited? Is it for a season? Is this like the fall holiday season?
It doesn't say if it's limited or not, but like they're coming out with, they recently just came out with animal crackers dipped in the Reese's chocolate.
Kind of like that.
That to me, I tried it.
Was it good?
No, it wasn't that great.
Oh, interesting.
It wasn't that great. It tasted too much like animal cracker.
And not enough like a Reese's peanut butter cup?
Exactly.
Are we trying a little too hard for Reese's? Let's just do what we do really well.
Right.
Let's just sell lots of peanut butter cups.
Let's just make a boatload of peanut butter cups.
Yes.
A boatload of. Do you like the M&M flavor, the Reese's M&M flavors, or the?
I don't know if I've had those.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Reese's Pieces?
Reese's Pieces.
Those are spectacular.
Amazing.
One of the great things that's ever happened.
So just give me the flavor of a Reese's cup, and we're good to go.
No, I agree with that. But I'll try the caramel. Yeah,
Yeah, of course I
try
would.
it,
Of course I would.
of course.
John, did you ever play a Nintendo NES Deluxe set?
Maybe
when you were growing up?
I played like the Genesis and like the original Nintendo. So I don't know if did I play NES, Brent? Not that we grew up together. That was after the original.
No, that was before.
It was before?
Yeah.
Oh, then I
Wow.
don't think I played that.
1986.
Maybe I did. Yeah, the thing with the cartridge
Yeah.
and the little like remote with the up, down, left, right, and
Yeah.
2 buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played
Did you ever?
that.
I think I played.
Nintendo NES. Let me Google it.
They had like
The thing was like incredible.
yeah, it was like the first of its kind.
Now, I thought Genesis was better.
Well,
Did you ever
play-
Genesis
Hot take?
was 16-bit. Nintendo was only 8.
Was it? Yeah, this thing, of
Oh.
course, everyone had
Yeah.
this thing. I didn't have it. My
Well,
neighbor did.
A Nintendo NES Deluxe set that sold in December 1986 for $128.
Wow, that was a lot back then.
Went on auction. It sold last night for $120,000
Unopened?
unopened.
Oh, see, who does that, right?
Right. Who buys like a
Waits 40 years.
PS whatever and then keeps it and then I guess what? You know what? I'm going to sell it in 30 years.
Right, 37 years later, I want to make my 100K.
Right. Yeah. But still, you bought it for $120. You sold
That's
it for
amazing.
$120,000.
That's amazing.
So we talked about daylight savings time. I think
Yes,
it's stupid.
You're very anti.
I am very anti daylight savings time. So it will end after next year. Like this is
What do
the
you
last
mean?
year.
No, are you sure? According to who?
Oh wait, I'm wrong.
Here we go. Great, getting our hopes up like that.
I'm sorry.
You said you thought daylight savings was just going to end.
No,
Who? What are you reading?
I'm reading the sunsets for daylight savings time now. Okay, so daylight savings time, the sunset will be in San Diego for the next about week or so.
Yeah,
4:50 every day.
but what did that have to do with the?
Well,
daylight
I read it
savings
wrong.
coming to
I
an end?
thought it said it was ending. I read it wrong. Can I make a mistake? Can I make one mistake?
That's a huge mistake.
I'm sorry. Maybe I was trying to speak it into existence. Maybe
Yeah.
I want it to end so badly. I'm like trying to speak daylight savings time ending.
I think at some point it absolutely could end, but if it ends next year, that would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
So you're saying it's dark before 5 o'clock?
Yeah, every day. Every day. 4:52 every day.
Again, it's not terrible in San Diego because it's 70 degrees out still right now. Like if we were in Green Bay, it's
Yeah.
kind of a nightmare. Do you have anything else?
Not
Okay. That was the back page. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done.
You're welcome.
All right. So a lot of people are ready because they're lining up outside Viejas Arena.
Gates open in
10 minutes.
9 minutes.
Yep. Gates are going to open. We'll have your countdown to tip off. Myself and Ben Fletcher coming up at 6 p.m. We're going to play back some conversations we've had from over the course of the last few days here on San Diego Sports 760. So a lot in store for you. About a 90-minute pregame. Of course, Ted Leitner will be on the call here tonight, courtside from inside Viejas Arena. People are here to celebrate last year and also to see San Diego State get off on the right foot. I mean, that's the only expectation tonight is to win, right? Nobody's like, well, it was nice. They raised the banners, but
Right.
but they didn't win. In fact, Jaden Ledee said last Monday night, like, how much are you looking forward to the experience of watching the banners go up next week? He's like, I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be a much better memory if we win.
Right. You got to win tonight. One, for that reason, and two, because I'm in the building. You got
Correct.
to just no question about it. You got to win while I'm in there because if you lose, one, I'm never going to hear the end of it
Never.
from John, and I'm probably never going to be allowed back in this this arena.
Now, what are you doing? Now, I got you credentialed, and typically being credentialed means you have like a responsibility.
Okay.
So what are you doing tonight inside Viejas Arena, and are you going to bail before the game is over?
Okay. So
Oh, I saw his look. That's a yes. He will not be here when the game ends.
no. Listen.
Guarantee
So-
he won't be.
I know.
Okay. So
No, don't give me this.
no, for I'll be doing social media
Aaron
inside.
bought a mattress. It's arriving at 8 p.m.
Depends on how the game's going. If it's a blowout, San Diego State, I don't know, dude. We'll see. We'll see how it happens.
I love how honest you are.
I'll see what happens.
So, do you have plans though? Like, is it Golden Bachelor or something tonight?
No, I don't have any plans, John.
They moved the Bachelor from Monday to Thursdays. I think for this specifically for,
this
the opening
for
night of
tonight?
Viejas Arena. I
For
think they
tonight,
moved it.
yeah.
Okay.
No,
so
I'll be in there.
he'll be in there.
I'll be in there.
Do you hear this, folks?
I'm gonna be.
He's saying don't go in.
Don't go in.
First of all, you weren't in all year last year, and now you've already admitted that you're not even going to be here for the entire game.
I said I will. I'm going to be there, bro. Chill out.
Everyone's going to hate you.
Everyone does hate me.
I know.
I am the walking bad
punching bag.
Exactly. I'm just that guy. It's fine. I can take it.
I know you can. All right, back tomorrow, of course, 3 p.m., recapping everything that happened here tonight at Viejas Arena, the latest on the Padres managerial search as well. And, of course, on the other side, much more from outside Viejas Arena, myself and Ben Fletcher. San Diego State beginning its quest to get back to another Final Four tonight against the Cal State Fullerton Titans. Banners going up, a lot of them. We think 4. I mean, that's a lot of banners. And they are going up tonight around 7:30. That is music. All right. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Find us on YouTube. Search for Jon and Jim 760. Find us on social media as well at Jon and Jim. JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Brent, great job in the studio. For Jim, I'm John. Your countdown to tip-off. Getting you ready for San Diego State, and Fullerton is next on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.